Welcome, misfits, to this night's episode of Midnight Ranting. God, I love you, Moon.
Midnight Ranting, yes.
I know, gotta look up. I do sometimes at a full moon become Carrot Top, but just avoid that. Yes, well, that too. A little bit of combination. It's the red hair makes you Howl the Moon. Okay, could the Ark have worked? Where we put the boatist with the mostest in the hot seat and ask ourselves if the Ark from the Genesis story in the Bible was a workable flotation device. So come join James W. and myself, Amy Newman, for some skeptic fun.
Gonna be a lot of water. A lot of water all over. A lot of water.
Hello, everyone on the intertubes. I can't believe they make it fit. We're a skeptic channel, but after the host, right over here, have their openers.
Us.
Well, us? Oh.
Us, yeah.
We'll be opening up the floodgates, or rather, the open mic, where a link will be set in chat for viewers to join the stream and tell us what's on your mind. We'll also give everyone their own...
Are we sure that's a good idea? Are we sure that's a good idea?
I don't know. Is that okay, Brain Buddy? He's 50-50. That's okay.
Do we have... Maybe somebody will have a 600-year-old guy come in and tell us on how he built that.
I will say that's impressive. Not to give spoilers with my notes, but somehow being 600 years old made it more
more
logical,
doable,
probable that
doable.
It was actually more workable. I don't I understand the whole wisdom comes with age part, but I feel like at 600 years old, I forget who's Joe. There's a comedian, but you're back. Would be like, you'd be looking at the floor at that point, but sure. We're a skeptic channel, but after our openers, we'll open the open mic. We'll have everyone have their own opening and closing statement if you wish. Atheist or theist, liberal or conservative, come as you are, just on the sheets. If you're feeling fancy, don't forget to like, follow, or subscribe. Plus, if you want to see our premieres or join our live streams, then hit that reminder bell icon and set to all. Wumpa pump, wumpa pump. Included Foley, as we all do. Mwah.
All right.
And
let's get them out.
And if you would like to see us make more fun content,
more props,
you can visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Amy Newman, including awesome Patreons like... There's no window under there, baby. I wish there was. That'd be cool. Okay.
He's got to keep looking.
Champ, I know. Well, the funny thing is what happened was I put these flags up here. And so he got used to batting that flag away and going to the window. So now I don't even have a flag there. And he's like, okay, I'll bat this away and there'll be a window there. But that's not how it works.
No.
Close. Right there. I love my baby. He's having a good time. Hi, Moonlight. Okay. But also, it doesn't matter if it's Fat Thor, Sexy Thor, or some kind of combination, because there's a lot of good peanut butter and chocolate in there. But KO Champ! But also, Oz from the Atheist Round. See how it's round? That's the round table and network group because it's so tangy. Connecting atheists, baby. And all you sexy non-believers out there. But also
make sexy time with
making sexy time, making snoo all around the world. But also
make her face unclean.
Yeah, which
she'll have to wait till the even.
We learn once again how obsessed the Bible is obsessed with our genitals and who we have sex with and all that, if you'd like to check out our recent Skeptic Bible study. But I will say it's a common theme. I mean, the Bible seems to just have a little obsession. I don't know. Maybe Noah has a Grindr account. I don't know. Oh, no, we need two of every. I mean, okay, focus.
We know other guys on Earth except for his son, so, yeah. It'd be kind of a... Not many profiles come up on the search. I also think
we have laws against that later on, but that's
later
spoilers.
On,
yes, later. But also Ian Davenport.
Thank you, Ian.
Sending out our love. Woohoo! But also a princess sending out the pink energy waves. I just think of Sailor Moon now, but Sailor Moon and Princess Sailor Moon. It's all amazing. Thank you so much, Diana Smith.
Now I'm thinking of you and Amaretto and Sailor Moon get-ups.
And fighting crime. That's how it has to happen. Exactly. Do you want to sit up?
Come on, Sailor Mars. Sailor Saturn. Yeah.
And that means you could be, what's it called? The guy in the tuxedo. You could be Tuxedo Mask. It's okay, James. We're going to make it. We're apparently making a sequel.
I'm getting drafted, I guess.
But also a grumpy, what the heck? I'm gonna have to hit my microphone. A grumpy, oh, I heard it. I heard Gizmo saying in the background, those damn.
He's trying to.
Well, at least
he's trying to say it for you.
It's funny. So they don't censor cat, huh? Okay, I see YouTube censors. I'm catching on. But
they make so much money off of these cat videos. I mean,
that's true. Though I will
80 million views in a week.
In fairness, that is what the internet was made for, the eternal cat video. In fact, that's really what we should be saying to Darth Dawkins, is why are we here? Why are we on the internet?
To watch cat videos. Yeah,
exactly.
Makes sense.
But also, we are sending love across the country and looking back in time. Thank you so very much, Pat. Woohoo!
He should be on his way to England right
now. Yes, and hopefully safely and finding interesting things. It just sounds like, Hannah. Woohoo! Thank you so very much, Pat. And thank you so very much, Dale.
Dale Pastel.
Thank you so very much, Dale Pastel. We have the whole Skeptic Crew. Dun, 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 dun.
All the scoffers.
I just like posing. All the scoffers, including someone who means the world to us. Thank you so very much, Dave Gar.
Dave Gar. Woo-hoo.
Dun, 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 dun. I love my world blushy. And it doesn't look flat. That's funny. Maybe it just needs to lose weight. I don't know. It looks cut. James, does that look round to you?
I mean, it's propaganda, NASA propaganda. So I mean,
damn NASA
you can make a picture of whatever you want. Doesn't mean it's real.
Exactly.
I mean, all those astronauts that have gone to space. What is space?
I know.
There's nothing up there, so how could you move?
Gravity.
There's nothing to push against. Yeah.
Silly concepts.
And don't tell me that gravity works on gases. That's just nonsense. That's
gravity works on gases?
The eminent physicist of our time, Zotangelo, already debunked that. He destroyed it.
That's true.
Yeah.
See, now we understand how planets come together. Wait, how do planets come together now?
God pulls all the stuff together.
Yeah. Okay, see? Now it makes sense, just like our subject today. And thank you so very much.
Got to.
The lead hyena. And I love hyenas. They're actually quite adorable, even though it's the cat, but they're on the cat branch. Breath. But thank you so very much,
Thank you,
Scott. Woo-hoo! The lead hyena of the pack. And finally, thank you so very much, Regis. Woohoo!
The latest Patreon. Thank you.
I know. We're gathering so many skeptic heathens. It's fantastic. Mwah! And there we go. And
there we go.
With that being said, could the Ark have worked? No. Good night, everyone.
Shorter stream than I was expecting, but
all right.
We fully discussed the issue. I mean, we didn't leave anything on the table.
That's true. We didn't. It was a little bit, maybe too quickie. Sometimes you got to do a quickie, but maybe that was a little bit. All right, fine. Let's explore this a little bit. Noah was a 600-year-old man in the book of Genesis who God chose to restart the world after Mr. Deity Face decides to flood the entire planet. Oddly enough, God is the good guy in the story. You know, the dude making everyone drown. Moving on. Noah is tasked with gathering 2 of every animal. Because this early in the Bible, incest is wincest. Thus, somehow, this man is able to get every species of animal. But could we take a second to appreciate just what that would mean? Because I don't think Noah or God seemed to understand the logistics of containing millions of species. I'm not sure how they all fit, but I'm fairly sure PETA would have a word or two. Then again, I guess these remaining fuckers get to live, right? Everyone else gets to wave their hands in the air like their lungs don't care. But after the screaming gets drowned out over the course of a few weeks of rain, everything is nice and calm, which I guess is what happens when you murder everyone via water cloud. Let's put the morals to the side. I don't understand this story at all. And I don't see how a boat this big could be seaworthy. Attempts at justifying literal interpretations of biblical stories in a fashion that matches with science will always fall apart. So could the Ark have worked? No. But it's been a heck of a journey anyway. Thank you. And all right. With that, are you ready to float on to some fun, James?
Well, I mean, how can I go after that? What more can I possibly have to add to the case here? So, could the Ark have worked? Of course not. Of course not. It didn't happen. It couldn't have happened, and there's a multitude of reasons why. Now, if you want probably the best debunking out there of the Ark is the series done by Aaron Ra. We did like 6 or 7 videos about the Ark, showing how with multiple fields of science, it just couldn't work top to bottom. There are so many problems with it. If you think that story is credulous, then I've got a timeshare to sell you in hell, because yeah, so many problems with that story. But could the Ark have worked? Actually, yes, it could have worked. How? Well, what we saw Kent invoking, and what they invoke all the time, is magic. Magic. God just made it so that it would work. There you go. That's it. Any problems in it? If I can't use science to get around it, well, God just took care of it. God just made it so the water wouldn't heat up that much, or God just made it so the boat could survive that heat, or God just made it so that wherever the Ark was not where the cataclysms were taking. Because Kent will tell you, oh yeah, this was such a turbulent time that Grand Canyon, a week, maybe 2, maybe in a few days, that whole canyon got carved out. But where the Ark was, it was just tranquil seas. It was nice and peaceful. They're just on a boat with a bunch of animals, sipping on whatever they would sip, I guess. And so God just intervened on all these times to make this story happen. And it's very obvious that that's not how it was originally intended to be read from the people that wrote the story. They thought that this would make sense, that you just get a big boat, you get a few people on there, you throw some animals in there, and they float around. Now that we use reason, science, and common sense, and we see all the problems in that scenario, the only thing they have to come with us is magic. And you can't disprove magic. It's not scientific. You can't do a test to see if God did something or didn't do something, because God and magic are all outside of the field of science. You can't use science to verify him, because he hides himself from the known world. So it is very it's almost disingenuous for someone like Kent to debate a subject like this, because there's no way that you could ever convince them that the Ark didn't happen, because he actually told you in this debate that what he does. And he says, this is a story the Bible says. I've chosen to believe it. You've chosen to doubt it. So what Ken is saying there is he just arbitrarily just takes this story and says, okay, whatever it says, I'm going to believe it. So therefore, whatever kind of batshit crazy mental gymnastics I have to do to make that work, it's all good, because I already accepted that it has to be true. It has to be true. You can't question it. It's 100% true. So even if I have to have all these silly things that are, strain credulity, it doesn't matter, because no matter how crazy they sound, they must have happened because it's true. And that's not how we look at a story like this. At least that's not how I looked at a story like this. I was a Christian. When I was growing up, and for many years, I thought the story made sense, and I probably would have said, yeah, I guess if there's a problem with it, God just fixed it. God just used magic. But is that really something we want to base our views on? Is that really something that we want to take to the bank? Just wherever there's a problem with it, God just came in and used magic, and therefore, what's even the point of trying to figure anything out or use reason for anything? Because it doesn't have to make sense. If it doesn't make sense, God will just use magic to make it happen anyway. So, yeah. Quite a interesting performance from Kent, though.
Woohoo! Yeah,
Woohoo!
I agree with a lot. I feel like when pressed on those sort of questions, he doesn't have answers except for
No.
I believe it and you don't, which is like,
Right.
okay, but you're supposed to be proving that. That's the debate. That's the topic of the debate, actually. Welcome to the debate.
Yeah. And that's why the thing of faith, that's why faith is such a dishonest position, because you would only ever need to use faith on something that you had no good evidence for. Because if you had good evidence, you wouldn't need faith. You would just come out and tell us these are the reasons that I believe the story. You would only take something on faith if there's no possible better reason to take it, right?
Yeah, if you would present evidence.
I mean, yeah.
And okay, I am going to send the link into chat and also say hi to everybody in chat, whether you are on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, saying hi in the interwebs. I have notes to talk about the debate. You can tell us what you thought about the debate. I thought it was some good back and forth. The atheist or the science interlocutor, oh man, he made me laugh a good few times. He had some really good zingers that I couldn't help but laugh.
He did.
He
did.
He really struck home, like,
hey,
the no taxes thing, which is such a bold.
He got a couple shots below the belt at Kent, and I don't know if Kent didn't even perceive it or if he just rolled right off of it. Yeah, he's like, whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. Just saying hi to everybody. We're about to go into the open mic, but we are midnight ranting on could the Ark work, as I shout into the microphone.
No, I mean, I couldn't build an Ark, but I mean, if God intervened and made it so that I magically could, then I guess I could, right?
And that was the question that I asked him. I was basically like, could you still build this boat? And his answer was basically like, well, I'm not 600 years old, which is a weird answer to me.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if I was older, I could do it. Hundreds of years older, it'd be easier? Okay. Like, all the wisdom doesn't get you around arthritis. Like, I'm trying to put things together here.
Well, he's just gonna say, well, God made it so that they would be 600, but they probably would have like the body of like a 40 or 50-year-old. It wouldn't be like we would think of as someone 600, because God would just make it so that they magically didn't age that way back then.
Yeah, exactly.
Magic.
He made them much more healthier. If you believe in magic, in Noah's heart, everyone else is going to die, though.
Yeah. Where God said that Noah and his sons may have been 15 to 20 feet tall, so that ark, based on the cubit, might have been way bigger. It could have been like 800 feet long, because, Noah and his sons could carry entire trees on the side with them, because they're, again, 15 to 20 feet tall.
Do they ever define the cubits, or is that one of those things that's just biblical?
It's like a measure of your arm to your fingertip, I think is what it is, but it's not precise because everyone has a different one.
Yeah, that could be changed.
Right. I mean, ballpark, we know about what it would be because most people are within a range, but yeah.
Also, yes, and they are female. They're matriarchal societies, hyenas. Woohoo!
And then when they asked Kent about the Ark part, Ken Ham's Ark, and he didn't really endorse it, but because they didn't have baby animals there, Kent thinks all the animals on the Ark would have been babies because they would take up less space. But that's not the way Ken Ham did it.
Yeah, that and the vegetarian thing. But I guess we'll get all into that into the open mic. I'm sure people have a lot to say about.
Oh, I'm sure they do. Hopefully, hope they do.
No,
we got speed of sound. Wow.
I know.
I saw him say he was going to come on if he was up.
Exactly. I almost feel bad. Speed almost has a reservation. I almost feel like I should speed him in. But we're sending love to Speed. Yeah, that's true. You know what? I'm gonna. It is the rare time that I do this. I'm gonna normally go in order, but this is the one time Speed he was rearing and ready. So I feel like we're going to do him, and then we're just going to go in order.
He's on a limited time. He's not used to staying up till 4 a.m.
And okay, with that, we are switching into our And now I feel bad. I feel like now I'm having like double-edged memories. I like gave Atheist Jr., who is next. I had like a story, but now I feel like I should do the reverse. Now, because it's exactly what I said, but he did have a reservation. So it's not exactly like my story. Now I feel bad. He's giving me the thumbs up.
Atheist Jr. is a good guy. He'll be all right.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, he is a good guy.
And
great channel too, always putting out funny stuff. The Ken Hoban lip reading thing, that was funny.
Well, I definitely like the rap battle. I almost feel like he was destined for this type of debate because him and Kent, there's like I don't want to say a rivalry, but
there's some history there.
There's some fun. And
they've crossed swords before, multiple ways.
That's what I like to think. And all right, we are going into our open mic. Speed.
Hey, Speed.
We are talking about.
I'm unmuted.
Nope, we can hear you.
You're on now.
We're midnight ranting on could the Ark have worked? How are you doing tonight? What are your thoughts about the debate or just the subject in general?
Well, I'm doing okay. By the way, I get up at 4 a.m. I don't stay up until 4 a.m. And I don't have a lot of time left because I'm 70. Okay, so you got to let me in before AJ. He's younger, but he is the Hovind whisperer. But anyway, I'm just primarily here as a reference source because I have answers. I have the answers book on the flood or part of the flood, and I have the Genesis flood by some fool. I don't know who he is. I'm not sure. And then I have Rock Solid Answers by Michael Ord. And if all that fails, I've got the Dictionary of Christianity and Science. So if you guys need to refer to something, I can help you. But
well, that's video 3 lies in the textbooks. Speed's got them all.
Yep. Anyway, the debate was I was able to endure about 25 or 30 minutes of it. I thought Dr. Dan, the looks on his face were precious when Hovind was answering. And I have other resources too, like Answers in Genesis they have a whole section on thinking outside the box on Noah's Ark and the flood. And one of the things that they do mention is that how could Noah build something so large? Since people in Noah's day had such long lifespans, think of the amount of knowledge and skills that they could acquire. So that's why you have to be 600 years old to build a Titanic-size wooden ship. In what? How long did it take them to build it? Yeah. So anyway,
about 100 years is what they usually say.
About 100, 100 years. So anyway, but it was the amount of skills that he had acquired. There's a whole bunch of other stuff here, and anyway, if as we get into it, hopefully, if you want to look something up or figure out how much water came out of the deep, I've got some stats on it and stuff. But I think AJ, water. AJ is your Hovind guy, so I really think you gotta go back to order. So I'm okay. I should be alive for at least another hour, so we can count on that. Okay.
That's always a plus.
Yeah, I'm good.
And thank you so very much, Speed.
Yep.
Woo-hoo. And all right, we're moving right down the line. Atheist Jr., I think you got one of the best compliments of the day. The Hoven Whisperer. You're drinking lots of water.
Yep.
I hope you are doing well. What are your thoughts about the debate, the subject, or anything we've been talking about?
Well, you know I wrote something for this, Amy, so I'm just gonna read this real quick. But I'm so glad that James saw my new video, and we showed it on we showed it on Speed's stream earlier, and people liked it. So you should watch that, Amy, if you haven't. But okay, so could the Ark have worked? No. We know that wooden boats cannot be built past a certain size. It's not possible to gather all those animals, and many of them don't have a year-long lifespan anyway. And there are colonial animals that you cannot simply have just a male and a female of, like bees and ants. So there's not enough space, and there's not enough food. And as for the heat problem, if you want a 6,000-year-old Earth, then you have to compress the radiometric decay length of all that uranium that's in the Earth's crust, and that's going to give off a ton of heat. Not to mention the fact that Noah's Ark landed on Mount Ararat, which would have been a volcano at the time. But I thought Dr. Dan won this debate handily, which isn't surprising. And Kent was like really rude and sarcastic during several parts, which also isn't really surprising. Like saying the Earth would be something like 74 degrees Fahrenheit during the flood. And then when Dan asked him, like, how hot would it be with a bunch of steaming water volcanoes all going off at the same time, and he said, "Oh, it would be like 75 at some places."
Yeah, yeah.
And Kent seems to think that if he hasn't heard an argument before, that alone like invalidates it. If he doesn't have slides already made about a topic, he's not even going to attempt to engage with Dan's questions.
I'm not prepared for that.
Yeah, I'm not prepared for that. That's how hard he sticks to his script. Like, it's ridiculous. But of course, I like that Dan was willing to throw a couple like elbows at Kent during the debate, like more so than his first one, if you've seen that, which is a really good debate anyway. But I liked how he said in his opening that Kent isn't a doctor and like making jokes about taxpayers. And he like really seemed to get under Kent's skin. And like, this is the strategy that I would like to see people employ in the future when they debate Kent, because this is what I tried to do. And like, if Kent wants to insult people during a debate, then just give it right back to him, you know? Like, make people laugh during the debate. There's nothing worse than like a boring Kent Hovind debate, or one where the person like just takes crap from Kent and doesn't give it back to him. Like, because this is what happened when I was debating Nephilim Free. He was pretty much like trying to be demeaning the whole time. So eventually I just stopped caring and started like taking shots at him and, you know, scolding him like he was a bad dog and stuff like that.
Bad man.
But like,
bad man.
Yeah. Yeah, but like, don't make me get the spray bottle, Nephilim. But Dr. Dan, he like read my mind at one point when Kent said that Egyptians exaggerated the ages of their kings, but Noah being 600 years old is totally legit. Like, that was exactly priceless. What like I wrote that comment in the chat or like and then he said it. It was perfect. And yeah, like, so if you haven't seen my new video about Kent, you should watch that. Also, I have an interview with Amy Newman on my channel, so if you want to watch that, then I would recommend that too. But that's it for me.
Thank you,
Thank
AJ.
you so very much, AJ. And let me tell you something. When I heard that, my head almost popped. Like, that's one of my notes. Was like taking pot shots at Egyptians and other religions for like the exact, like, not even close to the thing. Like, he's all those Egyptians believed in old people living thousands of years, or not even thousands, however old. And then it was like
pharaohs lived 400 years.
Yeah, like he kept saying that Dan doesn't know the temperature of what the water was, but then Kent doesn't know that the Ark had a moon pool either, and he even admitted the Q&A was really good. People were asking good questions, and like, he admitted like, oh, I don't know that the Ark had a moon pool, but if I would have built the Ark, then I would have put it on there. And I loved Amy's question.
I would have a couple in there.
Yeah.
I would have a couple moon pools in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, when Dan and he's like, Dan was like, so what temperature was the water? And Hovind's like, 72. Maybe 73 in some places. Well, the volcano, maybe 74 there. It was just like, okay, can't. Okay, you just don't care. You just yeah. Not even attempting to justify it. Just.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was being a dick.
And okay, thank you so very much, Atheist Junior. And okay, I'm gonna put. I'm trying to think what the word is. Not exactly a spoiler. I'm not getting conflicting information. I'd say I'm getting conflicting feelings. My mods are warning me. P Mars, you're up next.
Oh God.
I want to add you. I want to also give this warning. I want to give this warning. We are a politically. You're laughing. Is that good or bad? James, and I are a politically incorrect channel. But we're the squishy, nice side. We love everyone, and so we have. When we say we don't have a filter, it just means, generally speaking, we're going to tell everyone how much we love everyone, or we're going to call out bullshit. That being said, I don't want any of the crazy hate crime level stuff. So we are just trying to put a very simple as Titan says, we're just trying to stay with the TOS. Just trying to stay with the TOS.
I know P Mars, he suggested that Peter gave me mouth herpes, which I'm not sure how that happened considering he lives in Holland. So
maybe mailed it to you.
A trip there that I don't remember.
No, he mailed it to you. There you go.
That stuff is okay. That stuff is okay if he's doing it playfully. I just, like I said, don't mean any vicious hate crime level stuff that breaks the TOS. We're kosher, and so I'm gonna give this a try, while saying I am having Aunt Jur and Titan metaphorically, and probably Leo and all my other mods right behind me metaphorically. That being said,
don't make her regret it, P Mars. Come on.
I'm praying for you, Amy.
Hi, P Mars.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
I hope you're doing well. And what are your thoughts about we're midnight ranting on could the Ark have worked? What are your thoughts about the debate, the subject, or anything we've been talking about?
Well, I think Kent Hovind is a kook and a cult leader. And as far as the Ark goes, I think you guys made. I mean, I'm a Christian, but I think you guys made fair criticisms. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. How does the lion not eat the lamb, for example, right? Or the I know that science has sort of debunked the idea of a global flood, and so potentially maybe it was based off a local flood myth. I'm not really an expert on the story or anything, but I don't know. I kind of agree, I guess, with the general sentiment, I suppose, about because I don't think the Ark story makes a lot of sense to me either as a Christian.
Okay, we're in agreement.
And as far as the other stuff, I understand, and I'd like to be respectful and add to the show, and forgive me, Atheist Junior, if I offended you. I was just kind of I guess felt bad. I was watching that stream and I felt bad for Danny, and I kind of felt like I needed to white knight for Danny a little bit because I felt like he was getting ganged up on in that stream. So that's all that was about. And I'm sort of with Amy. I'm anti-political correctness, but I love everyone. It's not like a hate thing.
Well, me and Danny have talked since then, so I think it's okay.
That's good.
And okay, thank you so very much, P Mars. We just got 3 more people.
We're start talking to sing Kumbaya.
I know. And we're moving right along. Thank you so much, P Mars. Leophilius. We are asking ourselves, could the Ark have worked? A humble question. I hope you're doing well. And what are your thoughts about the debate, the subject, or anything we've been talking about tonight?
Yeah, I thought Dan did very, very well in addressing the major problems with the supposed global flood. I don't really want to call it a model because it's not a model. But yeah, he did. I think he did well. I think that he was capable of. The thing that I liked about what he did was that he used creationist data. He used creationist data to show how the creationist model is wrong, and that to me that's just beautiful. I mean, the fact that you can take the very data, the very information that these people are putting out and turn it against them to show.
Took me a second.
You had to say something. Now I'm laughing. I was trying to keep a straight face the whole time. But yeah, the thing is, Kent said he didn't give a shit about what Walt Brown said. Well, I have a pretty lengthy article here that's well cited in terms of, the creationists.
15
the
foot
creationist no, I don't know, the creationists that talk on this from creation.com on on the hydroplate theory, and I'm going to post it in the YouTube chat for everybody to see, because this is like the forefront, if there is such a thing, of creationist science, if there is such a thing. And then from creationscience.com, the Center for Scientific Creation, they talk about the same thing. So this is legitimate creationist quote-unquote science. And so the fact that Kent Hovind was essentially just like dismissing this as if it didn't mean anything, I thought was really, really interesting. But I think Dan really hit the nail on the head with taking their own literature and using it against them to show that, yeah, you've got your own people saying that there are major problems that they're very much struggling to solve with the model, and that, quite frankly, it doesn't look like there's a solution for. That aside, there are numerous lines of data we can look at that we don't have to talk about the Ark. We know that the global flood didn't happen. We can look at dendrochronology, which is the study of tree rings, essentially. And the thing is, if an area where trees are growing, where the trees are not themselves a part of an ecosystem, where they're in like a swamp region or a marsh or a mire, and the area gets flooded, you can see that in the tree rings. And so we can look at petrified tree stumps. We can look at the tree rings and see the history all over the globe, and we can see the history. We don't see any signs of a global flood. Geology doesn't show us any signs of this. The fossil record doesn't show us any signs of this. We don't know any mechanisms by which it could happen. There probably isn't enough water on Earth to literally fully cover its entire surface. And what was the final thing I was going to say? Oh yeah, we've got records of civilizations all across the planet that lived right through the period that the flood supposedly happened, apparently oblivious to the fact that they were drowning to death. So the fact that there was no flood, it seems to me, in most ways precludes the entire story of Noah's Ark, and I think that's the end of it.
Yeah, I thought it was super dishonest that Ket was saying that he doesn't care what Walt Brown thinks, because he literally sells Walt Brown's book in the beginning, and he said before that he shares, he thinks that Walt Brown's hydroplate theory is true, and he even tells stories of meeting like Walt Brown at an airport one time, and they had a lunch date where they talked about the flood. Like, yeah. He's trying to distance himself from that, but it's a total
it was
lie.
just a way of dodging the objections that were being brought because of that model.
Right.
Okay, thank you so very much. As I clear, I need a glass of
What's you got in your throat, Amy?
Oh my. If I told you, I'd have to, see, I'd say kill you, but that doesn't really make sense for sucking dick. So, moving right along. And thank you so very much, Leophilius. And we have so much fun behind the scenes before we go into open conversation. We're about to get Shane the Skeptic in, but then we have, I think inmate Marshall behind there, and Danny, and
06452-017, I believe.
2017.
Exactly. Yeah. And I got the OG White. We got all these people, and all right, having fun. Shane
OG
the
White.
Skeptic That's their name.
Black can't BOG. I see how it is.
And thank you so very much, Leo. Shane, we are having fun. I'm not sure how we get 2 of every animal on a boat. I'm not sure what the logistics are, but we're talking about it anyway. I hope you're doing good. And what's your thoughts about the debate, the subject, or
you'd have to be 600, then you would know how to do it.
Yeah, then it would make
have
sense.
I'd have to start out. So first of all, I'm calling in live from work. That's why I'm not showing my face right now, if anybody's wondering. But I was going to say that when it comes to skeptics ranting about the Bible and, you know, bullshit within the Bible, I literally think that the Ark story, the flood story, is the go-to. It is the most blatantly obvious bullshit story in the book, and it's one of those stories where it's amazing to listen to the scientific arguments against it as if they're even necessary, when in fact we could just use common sense argumentation. You know, we have the fact earlier it was mentioned some of these animals don't even live for a year. You have the pretty obvious fact that lions and gazelles aren't just gonna call a truce for a few days, right? But I guess one of the biggest problems I have with the story, even like this, yeah. Oh, they were all. I forgot about that.
They were vegetarian lions, yeah.
But yeah, vegetarian lions were a thing back then. But no, one of the things about the story that kind of pisses me off as a lazy person, this is just empathizing for Noah, really, is why did God have to make him make the ark? Like, you're an omnipotent being. You're already taking the time to talk to the guy. He's 650 years old, for fuck's sake. Can't you just give him the ark? Like, there you go, here's an ark. No, he had to tell him to make it. So he spent 100 years making it. He was 750 by the time he finished making it. How are you going to make a 650-year-old man spend 100 years building a goddamn ark so that he can do something you need him to do? That's just wrong, man. I take it easy on the elderly if I was God.
Just go to Home Depot and get gopher wood.
I mean, but if you think about it, that's a really good point. God can create proteins and DNA and apparently front load it with all the information life will ever need ever, but he can't. He's got to have a 650-year-old dude build a fucking boat.
Right. And then maybe one of the biggest inconsistencies in the story is prior to building the ark and while he's on the ark, Noah is speaking directly with God. So he's on direct communication terms with him. But then when it comes time to find land, God can't go, oh, it's that way. So Noah has to go send a fucking bird out. Like, wait a minute, you guys were just talking. Where did God go? Like, when did he leave the chat? He just checked out. I don't know. I think it's fucked up. Making Noah.
His connection dropped.
Do you work at a potato chip factory?
Yeah.
Potato chip factory. Not yet. Actually, that might be one up on this job. I work as an overnight stocker at a grocery store. So I'm stocking shelves right now.
Is that why it sounds like potato
Are you
chips?
stocking Lay's?
I'm actually blocking vegetables. So I can see why it might make that sound. Is it super loud? Or was it?
Yeah, it is. Come on
Okay.
now. Everybody knows wavy Lay's are better for dipping.
That's great. So yeah, I don't know. Apart from all the bullshit in it, I think it's just fucking wrong to make a 650-year-old build an ark for 100 years.
No, right?
And this is a story that does it for a lot of people. I have a cousin who, upon talking to me, became an atheist after some time. And I remember asking him, I was like, look, before you talk to me, what was one of the first, like, what did it for you? What let you know that this religion was bullshit? And he was 13 years old at the time. He looks at me, he says, honestly, the Ark story. I just couldn't convince myself. I tried, but we're Catholic, so he went to church and asked questions, and he just got in trouble for it. And he was like, okay, I'm really having a hard time with, lions and giraffes getting along on an ark. And then you have, the fact, and he was able to make this observation at a young age that 8 people could never possibly take care of a zoo. Like one zoo, 8 people could never possibly manage it, right? So when you try to tell me that there's 2 of every animal, there being millions of species of animals, even if you reduce it to a few thousand, there's no fucking way 8 people could take care of it. And how are they shoveling the shit out? There's too many problems.
Oh, but see, they were babies. They were much easier to handle, and there was less shit to shovel.
I would apologize for ranting, but this is Skeptic Rants, so there you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When Ken Ham was building his art park, originally he thought about having live animals in the cages, but then when they did the math on the logistics for how many people, the dozens and dozens of staff they would need to take care of those animals,
and the air conditioning and the filtering and the removal of the feces and the feed and everything else.
To say that 8 people did all this 4,000 years ago, but yet we have dozens and dozens of people doing it here today.
And this was only like 160 animals they were going to have there.
Yeah.
Like this wasn't even like 200.
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny. They're starting to. It's like they're disproving themselves and trying to make this thing work. That's just classic.
Like the water damage that it got.
I was
just thinking about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right when you brought that up. It's like, okay, all right. It's a. I mean, but that's not as much of a defeater since it was supposed to be a replica. But what hurts it more even as a replica is like you guys were saying about how like, wow, they realized that they couldn't get enough people to manage all of those animals, even though it would have been well under millions of animals. The nonstop shoveling of shit, whatnot.
Every one of the 8 people would have to feed a pair of animals every minute in order to feed them 24/7. So 16 hours a day, 16/7.
Well, you know what else is funny about this story is when we talk about this story, we kind of skip over the fact that this is the part of the Bible where God just killed everyone. You know, like
including babies.
Right. Like when I was a kid, I remember learning about the flood and everything and the ark and the animals. And it wasn't even like in my head that like, oh yeah, genocide is happening right now.
Like, the thing is, it's not even that he killed humans. He killed almost, this flood would have killed almost all land-dwelling life.
Right, like what the fuck did the giraffe do?
And most sea-dwelling life, because the nature of what would occur with a flood of that scale would likely result in the death of massive amounts of sea-bearing life as well.
Because you have saltwater animals and freshwater animals. They can't just be all in the same water.
They were all freshwater back then, he says. They were also freshwater back then.
I have heard that one. Yeah, I didn't watch the debate you guys are referring to now, but I've seen Kent Hovind debate and you know,
I'd need to see evidence of it's all fresh water, because if it's coming out of the earth, that would be salt water. The water would naturally imbibe minerals.
Well, Leo, the oceans are getting saltier by the minute. I mean, back then, if you go do the math back, they would have hardly any salt back then.
Well, tell them to chill and eat a Snickers, and they won't be so salty.
Eat a sandwich and go to sleep.
Exactly.
There we go.
Well, what Dan pointed out, and I've always felt this was a strong argument, is Ken Hovind is very skeptical of the idea that macroevolution can happen and animals can change from one kind to another. But when you talk about evolution after the Ark, he is perfectly fine with 2 generic cats diversifying within 100 years or so into all the animals, the big cats, panthers, lions, tigers, all that in just a few generations. Fine. Yeah.
I had that come up in a debate that I had with a theist where he was a creationist, and you know, this stuff came up, and he said something like, well, we don't have any examples of things changing over time, and I went, and I brought up a study, and I provided a link and everything to Italian wall lizards, and how after being introduced to a new island off the coast of Croatia, in a matter of decades they had a new jaw structure. You know, they evolved to have different bodies because they had different food. So it's like, actually, look, we have evidence of evolution in a matter of a few decades. And he immediately goes, well, no, there's a difference between micro and macro evolution. And I could accept one without accepting the other. And I was just like, okay, well, why don't you stop saying you don't believe in evolution and start saying you don't believe in microevolution, and you sound a little bit less stupid.
The funny thing is, the only difference between the two is the amount of time through which the mutations and the fundamental microevolutionary aspects. Macroevolution is just microevolution over a very long period of time on a population.
That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
So
works the same way.
It's like saying, I can walk 10 feet, but it's impossible for anybody to walk 20 miles.
Exactly. I mean, and this is the thing when Aaron Ra had his debate with Kent, is he kept trying to pin him down on this. You know, like, if you accept microevolution, you know, by default, you're accepting macroevolution, because it's just microevolution over long periods of time on a population.
That's why you fight so hard on Age of the Earth, to fight for that 6,000 years.
And that's the thing. I think that's the biggest thing with the whole rejection of the quote-unquote deep time thing.
Well, that's where the common straw man comes in, where they go, Well, I've seen wolves. I've seen different breeds of dogs turn into other breeds of dogs. I've never seen a cat give birth to a turtle or a turtle give birth to a giraffe.
I can't believe that you would think that a dog is related to a mosquito.
Leo, do you think you're related to a tomato? Leo?
No, the pine trees are related to elephants because they're both eukaryotes.
That's the other thing they get wrong. No, well, I just did just before it changes subject. The other thing that they get wrong consistently is they're like, look at a banana and look at you, and it's like, can you imagine? And it's like, listen. The banana is a reproductive organ. That is like, look at the banana and look at you. Is like, exactly. That is the proper analogy. But he doesn't understand that.
Okay, but the funniest thing about the banana argument, despite the fact that on some days I might look like banana, it's actually that a banana is a fruit that wasn't naturally organically. It wasn't shaped like that. Human beings crossbred bananas to make them take on the shape that they are, which actually makes it a significantly worse argument, because it's like, okay, no, you actually, the example that you're using is one that humans altered through the means of evolution, and you're using it as this argument. Like, well, a banana is really easy to peel, so God wants us to eat it. Well, then stay the fuck away from coconuts.
Can I respond to a question posed in chat really quickly?
Sure. So respond to the question, and then we're going to get inmate 0654 continual.
So from Evo Tardiness, serious question for atheists. If majority of genome is functional, does that debunk evolution?
Why?
Short answer, no. I mean,
I don't even understand why.
The big question there is, what do you mean by functional? Because what scientists mean when they talk about functionality in terms of genetics and what a lot of the laity mean are not, they generally don't map. I also don't know what debunk evolution means. It would be like debunk general relativity. I don't know how you debunk something that's like never failed any empirical test that's ever been subjected to. That seems really weird. Anyway, let's bring the next person in.
I just debunked math.
Yeah. Generally, you add to a
all
field.
All that tensor calculus bullshit.
Well, actually, I would say that contrary to the argument most creationists make, if we ever had an example of a monkey giving birth to a human being, literally, that would debunk evolution. They think that that's what we think, but actually, if that happened, I think that might be we might have better arguments against evolution and reasons to investigate. Go, holy fuck, this doesn't match our theory at all.
Exactly. Or at least it would definitely need a radical new explanation on why the frig that's happening.
Yeah, isn't it what Dawkins said? If you find a rabbit in the whatever era or whatever layer, that would completely overturn evolutionary theory. I can't remember. Yeah, Precambrian. You found a rabbit in the Precambrian. Yeah,
or any mammal.
I think we're evolving into monkeys.
What about Nephilim Free's human footprints?
We are monkeys.
Junior, remember that? Human footprints next to dinosaur footprints. Mic drop. God is real.
Yeah, no.
Apes, not monkeys.
Those aren't human footprints.
Monkeys. So much
the end is coming. Repent or perish.
It looks like human footprints.
Well, Nephilim apparently went to the New York School of Photography, so he knows what things look like really good.
Hey, I've seen some shoops in my time. I can tell by looking at one of the pixels in the corner.
Yeah,
I can't even do the meme right, but
I can tell when something is a Photoshop. I can tell by the pixels.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. And by seeing a few shoops in my time. And okay, we are moving right along. Thank you so
Let's
very
move along,
much, Shane.
Dr. Newman.
We almost I'm focusing. Maybe one day, though I feel like if that ever happens, I just need to promise myself not to become a supervillain. No supervillain.
You're gonna fuck Darth Dawkins?
Yeah, baby. That's a different type of website.
You'll enjoy it.
But inmate 06452-017 continued. I hope you are doing good tonight.
I am. It was supposed to be inmate number 06452-17's prison wife, but I guess that was too much to show.
It's a really specific thing that it was
Wait, yes, it does.
supposed to be.
It does say 07's prison wife. I had to click it to get it, but it was worth it just to see you be called a prison wife. And okay, how are you tonight? And what are your thoughts about the subject, the debate, or anything we've been talking about?
Well, just like Shane, I didn't actually see this particular debate, but considering inmate number 0645-17's arguments haven't changed in the last 20, 30 years, that once you've seen one debate, you've seen them all. I saw a little bit of it. I saw Dan's opener, and I saw the very tail end of it in the Q&A section. Somebody else mentioned how the previous debate, which I also didn't see, was Dan wasn't really going after him as much, and then this one he really was more going for it. And I noticed it's the same kind of thing with Professor Dave. It seems like there's a lot of it happens to a lot of people. They'll go into these debates expecting it to be an actual decent debate, and then they realize how unreasonable the person is. So then the next time they're like, I'm just gonna come back in and mock this person. Which is all he really deserves, is mockery. He does. It's not a serious argument.
That's what happened with my debate with Robert from Genis. I realized how much of a doofus he is. 20 minutes into the debate, and then after 20 minutes in it, I mean, just to be honest, it was kind of me just bullying him the entire time.
I just remember Otangelo saying Leo got owned in that debate. Leo got destroyed on Geocentric.
Oh shit! It's so. I mean, one of the frustrating things is sometimes what happened with me on Standing for Truth's debate that I did with him. He brought up a point that I was actually unaware of, and so I admitted that I don't know that. I'll have to look into it. But as soon as I Google it, it took about 2 seconds to realize that it's not at all what he was talking about how the human Y chromosome is closer to gorillas than it is to chimpanzees. And it's okay, I haven't heard that. I'll have to look into it and figure out the reason why. And the real reason is actually pretty obvious and simple. I feel bad for not intuitively realizing what has happened there, is that when you compare humans to gorillas and to the other great apes, our Y chromosome is closer in some regards to them. And that's because we have a more conserved Y chromosome, whereas the chimp Y chromosome, if you compare the different subspecies of chimps, not only do they diverge from us, they also diverge highly from each other. So it's not that we're just so much different from chimps. It's that when it comes to the Y chromosome, chimps are highly divergent. Chimps, their Y chromosome has just changed rapidly.
Point of moderation. As a request from the audience, can we have whoever is rustling the bags of chips or whatever it is, please mute their microphone?
I think it's stopped already. I think they got it.
Okay, thank you. I didn't want to say anything, but that was was everybody able to actually hear what I was saying though? Roughly?
I think we got. Yeah, I think we could hear it.
Yeah, I was listening. So I mean, basically, it comes down to the fact that chimps just really like to get it on, and they're because of the high rates of sperm competition. So you have so many different males mating with the same female. There's a higher selection pressure on the more divergent Y chromosome. So yeah, it's. Now, I wouldn't have thought of that intuitively, but I think if I had thought about it longer, I should have realized that, wait a minute, if there's something that is different between one of our closer relatives versus where it's conserved between us and more distant relatives, that means that other group has changed more. But that's beside the topic. The idea of the Ark, it's silly. I think that the fact that the USS Wyoming, which was only I don't know how much of it was it's not as big as the Ark. I don't know what the exact proportions compared to the Ark.
450 feet to 515 feet for the Ark.
Okay, so that's like what?
It's like 100 foot less, like over 100 foot. Yeah,
it's a 65 foot difference.
Okay, but and then this is made with modern technology, with steel fasteners, and with diesel bilge pumps, working constantly to clear the water that's coming in from between the planks, because they flex in the waves, and then it sunk in a relatively minor storm. I think that alone kind of shows you how implausible this massive wooden vessel would have been, unless gopher wood was some kind of magical wood, like Nephilim Free compared it to glue lamp. But right, and the problem is like, no matter how strong the wood is, you still have the problem of what the gaps. And it's gonna flex, and if you don't have like
moon pool, there was a moon pool.
Well, the moon pool actually makes it worse, because
yes, it does.
That I'd never heard that idea before.
Neither have I until tonight.
Just now came up with it, or what? But apparently, I guess we can just add. I like how they talk about how the Bible is so exact and gives the exact dimensions of the Ark, and then they've done these tests to show that a boat with those dimensions is stable, and that means that the whole story could have worked, and it gives the exact size of the windows and everything. But then it never mentions the moon pools. Yeah. And I guess we can just add whatever we want to it. Well, why don't we just say that the Ark was a spaceship, and it just took all the animals to the moon while the Earth was melting from all this other, then that solves your heat problem right there, without having to just try to say, well, I don't know. And then good.
Oh no, the other thing that I don't think that many creationists appreciate is just how much a million is, like how much millions of species. Like, I think they just go to the zoo and they're like, oh yeah, I could fit this on a boat. And it's like, that is not the majority of animals.
I've often said that creationists don't understand the concept of scale.
Yeah.
Well, what they do is they, since kind can mean anything they want, they take the broadest definition of kind that they think is somewhat reasonable, and then they use that to calculate how many different kinds there were. But if you press them into arguments, then they'll flip around the definition of kind. But and then they say, well, they were just juveniles, so they estimate that the size of the juveniles were smaller. And essentially, if they think if they can physically fit a representative of like every major family of even if it's juvenile, then that counts as working. Like these animals are stacked in there like Tetris pieces. Yeah,
one on top of the other.
No, it's ridiculous. And then you have the problem of the rapid speciation required afterwards, especially when you look at like things like proboscideans that have incredibly long generation times. Erica did Gibbon did a really cool video on this, where she basically did the math that you would actually have to have a new species every generation of elephants for this to work, which is ludicrous. Even like even your most intensive selective breeding program can't produce new breeds that quickly.
You could do anything with magic.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. That's the key point you guys are all missing, is that could the Noah's Ark story have worked? If you're within the realm of like, if you're asking could it possibly work, like, then obviously the answer is no. But if you're asking could it work with magic, then well yeah, but that's magic. And at least they will admit on some things that it's magic, but then they'll try to like shoe in this these naturalistic explanations, and it's like, why even bother? If you want it to be magic, just say the whole thing was magic.
Anything is possible when you have a magical anthropomorphic immortal on your side.
Exactly.
And then the other really interesting thing is like the ice dome. How does ice stay in a dome? First of all, you still have heat transfer. It's going to be melting, and a solid dome has to be made out of a material that's strong enough that, like, if there were any cracks in it, it would just come crumbling down. And then when you have a sphere inside of a sphere, a sphere in orbit, can't be stable on its own. It would have to have some kind of force keeping it in orbit in the right distance from the Earth, because any slight, as long as it would just have to get a little bit closer to one side or the other, and then gravity would pull it to that side, and the whole thing would come crashing down. So it's just miracles on top of miracles on top of miracles. And I'm convinced that Kent Hovind, inmate number 0645-017, I'm convinced that either he's got some kind of learning I shouldn't say that, but he knows he's wrong on many things. There are many things that he has been told over and over again, even by other Christians and other creationists, that he has to know that there's no good reason to keep saying this, and yet he says it. Like the thing about dinosaurs being just overgrown lizards. Ignoring the fact that lizards and dinosaurs are morphologically entirely different. If you want to say that a triceratops is just an overgrown chameleon, then why is it that we find triceratops eggs and babies? It's just...
Remember, Marcia, you just gotta turn your brain off.
Doesn't have to make sense.
Makes sense.
Called cognitive dissonance.
And it does, like, sometimes I ask myself, is it worth debating these people who are not going to argue in good faith and we know lie constantly, because the amount of bullshit they can get out, in the time that you correct it, it's, maybe it's better to just ignore them. I don't know.
I like when Aaron Ross said that Ken Hovind can get more lies off in one sentence than words in the sentence, and
exactly.
They went back and forth on that one for a while.
That's hilarious. But then you have to take 20 minutes to debunk all the lies that they just spewed in a second, like 5 seconds. And when you're in a debate format where you're going back and forth, you don't have time to debunk every stupid thing they say.
That's called a gish gallop.
I was gonna say he
exactly.
does gish well.
And I have a personal vendetta against Kent Hovind, because I just found out that a good friend of mine was subjected to his homeschooling program. So that's going to be, I try to kind of teach him science over time as much as his brain will allow him to absorb.
And you could tell, I'll say this the last thing before I move on to Danny, you could tell how excited he is about trying to leak into public school. He's like, please, money. I don't care if you pay me, I pay you. Just get me in that public school so I can teach creationism to children. It's like, don't think we should do that.
My favorite line from when Professor Dan debated him was when Kent Hovind said, I taught biology for 15 years.
Yeah.
And Professor Dan goes, you lied to children in a church. That's not teaching biology.
Yeah, you lied in a church. Wow.
Yeah, and I'd like to point something out real quick just before we bring on the next person. Kent Hovind posted the debate on his channel 44 minutes ago, and it's an hour long. It's an hour 30-minute debate, and one of the commenters says they commented this 20 minutes ago. It says Kent wins hands down, and I'm just wondering how he knows that when he hasn't watched the whole debate yet. People were saying that in the live chat before Dan even finished his opening
statement.
He also
he
made a comment that there was about 17 people in his audience, which I find impressive if true.
Right.
Yeah, I guess that's how much.
Somebody,
maybe Kool-Aid was on sale at the dollar store, so you don't know.
Another interesting thing happened in the side chat. I noticed like a bunch of the mods were arguing on Kent's side, and I'm like, I replied to one of them like, you're not supposed to be, James has asked you to remain neutral, and then James came out and said like he had taken away everybody's wrenches and you were supposed to go through a process to get them back. Well, somebody, I'm not sure who, started giving out wrenches. Was it Praise?
Yeah, it had to be Praise.
Yeah.
I don't know why James keeps letting these people come back as mods and whatnot when they show every fucking time they have no idea how to handle that responsibility.
Right. But anyway, it was. Yeah, like I said, I didn't watch the whole debate.
Praise was remodding all the Christians in there. Like all his buddies were getting their wrenches back. Yeah.
Yeah. And they were.
I don't know why you do that. See, my thing is why do that though? If you know that it's only gonna get it's like temporarily okay. That looks cool for like a half second, but then you get your wrenches taken away, and it makes you look like an asshole. So I don't know what it is. Praise. If you didn't do it or you disagree, it's okay. The link is in chat. Come on board and talk.
Is he in chat?
No, we don't get a lot of those.
Right.
I don't want to say. I feel bad saying even types of Christians because we get all types of Christians. But let's just say
that atheist junior lie detector.
Yeah, and okay.
I want to. Hey, one more thing. I want to second that. Atheist Junior's bad lip reading. It was hilarious.
It was good, was it? Yeah.
Thank you.
And okay, thank you so very much. Oh, thank you, phone. And okay, we're moving right along. Thank you, inmate 06452's hot piece of. And we're moving to Danny. Danny, we are Midnight Ranting on. Could the Ark have worked? We're really trying to figure out the logistics here. I hope you're doing well. And what are your thoughts about the debate, the subject, or anything we've been talking about?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I don't have that much to say. I mean, I kind of just look at it as a conspiracy theory where, like, I mean, there's a sense in which it could have happened, right? But the only sense in which that's true is if they just give a bunch of ad hoc explanations for what's going on. And I don't really, I mean, there's no logical issue with that. But yeah, I don't really engage with all the ad hocness of it. If they're trying to like convince me that it happened, but that's all I have to say.
Well, I know somebody asked earlier, like, should people debate these creationists? And you can make an argument that somebody like Richard Dawkins or like a famous scientist or biologist shouldn't, because that's bringing the creationists up to a higher level. But like, we're just like YouTubers with small channels. Yeah. Like, it doesn't really matter, in my opinion.
We're having fun.
I think it's fun. So yeah.
I think if they're elevated, I think that's actually amusing. So I kind of
fun.
And okay, we're almost there. We're going to go into open conversation. We just have
who's next?
2 more skeptic heathens. We're moving along to some fun. Thank you so very much, Danny. Randolph Richardson, hope you're doing well. We're trying to figure out if that boat could float. What are your thoughts about the debate, the subject, or anything we've been talking about?
Well, can the Ark float? If it was broken up into many little pieces, I'm sure the wooden parts would. It's just such a ridiculous story. It's like a fun thing for little children, I guess, who are thinking of fantasies and a small number of animals, but the 35,000 species that they'd have to bring onto that boat, and the buoyancy issues, and the gopher wood matter that I bring up sometimes, and I heard Marshall touching on it as well tonight, is the only workaround for that I could think of The problem with it is that it's magic, and I guess if it makes the Ark much larger on the inside than on the outside, then that would be the magical property of gopher wood that would be part of what's necessary to make this work. I can't entertain this seriously. I need to see a demonstration of gopher wood, and the TARDIS on Doctor Who is not really doing it for me, because I don't even know if that's made of gopher wood. So yeah, I think there's a lot of issues. And mind you, I said 35,000 species, so count that as a minimum of 70,000 different animals, because there's got to be a minimum of 2, and some biblical accounts for a lot more than 2 of each getting on the Ark. So that number goes up even higher fast. And then the thing that I find is curious, is often overlooked, but also mentioned by people, is what about food storage and somehow having a source of clean water? They couldn't just drink it out of the ocean because that's all salt water.
Oh no, it was fresh water, according to Kent.
It was okay, but nonetheless, they still need to have food. The different animals have different diets.
Water.
What about the termites, the carpenter ants, carpenter bees?
And what about the different species of plants?
They would be the only ones who would have food.
So here's another thing that's missing is, and this is a huge gap in this story, is when the flood finally subsides and they're on land, there's no plant life growing yet. They're going to have to plant it and get it going. So they're going to have to bring plants with them on the Ark and just manually plant them in different spots.
Magic.
So the animals don't kill each other while they're eating food. and those animals need a lot. They're going to have to carry a lot more plant life than animal life, I would think. How much plant life does an animal consume in the course of a day?
Depends on the animal. A full-grown cow can consume 3 to 4 pounds of organic material in a day.
There you go.
An elephant will consume much more, though.
So yeah,
exactly.
If you take the top 20 animals that consume the most plant life,
you would have dozens of tons of organic material being consumed every day. And as Randolph is saying here, we're just considering those that eat the plant material. We're not considering the biomass consumed in organic flesh, which would also probably amount to dozens of tons. So the amount, I mean, they would go through probably 2 Titanics worth of food in a day.
Yeah, and so
Leo, you're forgetting one thing, though.
They'd have to carry a lot of dead animals with them and keep them frozen and thaw them over time. Like, there's a lot of more complexity.
The disease spread, waste management, keeping down violence.
Come on, they can just dump all the waste off the back of the boat.
But it's a matter of collecting.
You have 8 people.
Oh, I don't want to think about that. Let's move on.
And then all of the fumes that are released from it and the effects. Mm-hmm. I mean, like you said, Randolph, there are so many technicalities here that have to be considered. And as Dan said, all of the logistics involved of this, it's just straightforwardly not a feasible idea whatsoever.
And pictures I've seen drawn of the Ark have 1 window on the side. How many windows are in the plan for the Ark?
Yeah. Well, the Bible just mentions one, but apparently Kent says the window went all the way around it.
Yeah, that's still not enough to get rid of all the gas and fumes and stuff from the animals. Anyway, thank you, Amy. I'll stop here because I don't want to have a really long introduction. I want to get to the open section and let Oz have his say.
That's right.
Thank you, Randolph.
We got Oz backstage, and thank you so very much, Randolph. And like Robert was saying, the noise level would have been crazy. Once again, millions of species, and somehow all just living in harmony.
They need to carry a supply of earplugs and stuff, I guess, or some kind of ear protection.
Right?
Mind you, they can make it of gopher wood, and then they'll hear nothing. It'll be big.
Good night, Danny.
Night, Danny.
Good night, Danny.
All right. With that, we are moving to
right
a
above
final
the
skeptic.
Meth lab.
The shark is in the house. Welcome, Oz. We are Midnight Ranting, putting the boat in the hot seat of could the Ark have worked? Hope you're doing well. What are your thoughts about the debate the subject or anything we've been talking about?
Well, thanks for having me. And no, first, it makes zero sense. The ark, the way the animals came in, the number of animals that came in, none of it, none of it makes sense ahead. And I was just going through as a refresher because I was taught this all the time as a Christian for 30 plus years. But even now we'll hear Christians say, well, maybe it wasn't a global flood. Maybe it was just a regional thing. But like in Genesis 7, I think it's 19 or 20, says that the waters rose greatly on the earth, and all of the high mountains under the entire heavens were covered. That doesn't sound like a regional.
Also, if it was just a regional flood, God could have just told Noah to go to a mountainous area, or just like travel away from where the flood was happening. Be a lot easier than building a boat.
Well, I think that was my point, because he was what 600 or 800 years old at that point, and it's like we do understand humanity, and first of all, just to think that somebody is 600, we won't even say 800, just 600 years old, and you and a couple of dudes built this boat that supposedly was going to withstand like a downpouring for 40 days and then be on water for a lunar year, if I remember correctly, an entire lunar year. It is so far-fetched. It is so far-fetched. And to go back to one of the arguments I was hearing earlier, that's why when it comes to these particular conversations, I don't even, as far as debates, like I don't even engage. I don't even engage because it is so ludicrous to think that this shit actually happened in real life. Like this is comic book shit. Like this is movie shit.
Yeah, I was very particular of my words. I had to keep on editing my opener because I didn't want to use certain times. There's like trigger ones like mythology and fairy tale and all that stuff. But it is so hard. I mean, this is like the classic, it follows mythic structure, therefore it is a myth. I mean, I feel that.
There are people that scoff at the Bible.
There is no, we have nothing as far as, and I know two geologists, that I've talked to about this. There's nothing that supports it, as far as geology. There's nothing scientific that supports this. And when it comes to this particular claim, that's why I think it's a joke to even, like we could talk about it having fun and like making a point that how preposterous it is, but to actually get into a serious debate about it, it's not a serious debate. It's like this is cartoon shit.
Ramen?
Well, for me, like one of the big things you see in mythology is that it explains certain things about the natural world, like how Fenrir bit the moon, and that's how it got craters. It's just like God sent the rainbow as the sign. That's a key part of mythology. It's using supernatural things to explain the natural world.
Well, Nephilim Free uses the flood to explain moon craters too, so
that's true. Lunar
also
Bukkake.
Night Speed, and it was nice having you on. Sending hearts out, and go check out Answers in Atheism.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Speed.
continue. But yeah, this is one of those stories that I don't know if Oz was either saying or someone else was saying is kind of a linchpin. It's one of those that's just like, how the hell? Like, there are some stories I could understand why you want to lean on it for moral support. I don't understand where, I don't even understand the morals of it. Like, I don't understand the logistics or the morals. Like, it just seems like God's being a dick.
I don't think there's any morals in it. I mean, God literally drowned innocent babies and children.
The most charitable, if I put on my apologist hat, the most charitable explanation I could give is that it was a foreshadowing of baptism wiping away personal sin. So the bad people that get wiped away in the flood.
That's a big reach. That's a big reach.
Right.
Yeah.
It is, but that's, to me, that's the most charitable read I could give it. That, you know, as if I'm trying to explain it as you know.
I think if you want, as far as being an apologist, and it's actually more disgusting than what you brought up. I think like you said, that's probably charitable. But in was it Genesis 3 into 2 or beginning of 3, when God said that he regretted his creation, he regretted what he had done. I think that was, if anything, it shows the instability and the independability of the God of that book.
Yeah.
And he's got some bipolar issues.
Yeah, he's a very unstable. He's a very unstable God. if he really was to be all knowing, all suffering, all loving, yada yada yada. But that's why stories like that. You compound and compound and compound, and you have this accumulative effect. Then when you get to this Jesus guy, that's why. And I'm not sneaking this in, but just the accumulative effect of that book. That's when I get to this Jesus guy. That's why I say # Jesus is a myth, because I don't believe anything that's in that fucking book. There's other than like physical locations and a person here or there that we've been able to verify, actually existed. We all the supernatural claims all of the people that we attribute supernatural claims to, as far as healings, miracles, people raising from the dead, walking on water, doing all those things. We don't have any consensus. We don't have any contemporary recordings. There's nothing. There's nothing for those people.
I'll push back on that a little bit, because aren't there some Roman emperors who had miracles attributed to them? Like we do see historical people sometimes also having miracle claims.
Alexander the Great was said to be a demigod.
Those are literally true.
Well,
except for
right.
Native Americans, actually entirely true. Alexander the Great was said to be a demigod, and there was a large portion of people in the lands that he conquered that literally believed that he was part God. So,
right.
I mean, there are people all throughout history that have had magical abilities attributed to them.
Hold it. That's my point. That's my point. Is just because people say that they were magical. We don't have anything that demonstrates. We don't.
But the people still existed. Maybe the magical powers.
That's
true,
the point
the
I
people
was trying
still
to make.
existed.
Correct. But with like I said, when we fast forward to the Jesus claim, which is the linchpin for Christianity, we don't. As far as I'm concerned, my personal studies and research, I have no good reason to believe that motherfucker ever lived.
Well, I think there's another emperor named like Vespasian. And people, there's stories of like laborers that like had visions that he could perform miracles and stuff like that.
Well, we don't even have to go back.
Did you disagree with anything Jesus said, like the love your enemies? Did you disagree with that stuff, or is it mostly just like the miracles that you have issues with?
Well, I don't know. There's nobody that knows. Nobody can say that Jesus said anything. No. There's no first-hand witnesses.
The character, if you will, the character of the story, if you will. Do you disagree?
I agree with some of what he said, but not everything.
I don't. Ask the question again.
Well, like you have a problem with the miracles. I'll grant you that, right? Like, let's say throw the miracles out. Do you disagree with like the things Jesus said, like his message, like things like love your enemies and stuff like that? Do you disagree with that?
I disagree when he said that if you will not forsake your wife or your husband or your kids or whatever to follow me, then you're not worthy. No, I don't agree with that.
Right on.
I just don't find what he said that remarkable. And like the character of Jesus, like he wasn't the first person to say some of these things either.
Right.
And even a lot of the quotable things that are attributed to him were later additions that were added since sometimes the originals.
Like the stoning of the adulterers, that was added in.
Well, in
earlier manuscripts.
And the way they wrote back then, so parables were written so that people did understand things, right? It made it easier for people to understand because back then they were less educated, right? But according to what Jesus said, according to those that quote unquote, wrote for him, that he wrote these parables and he did this so that that certain people wouldn't understand, that it would be confusing. So why would if he is God or the God in flesh, and parables are meant to make things easier for those walking the earth to understand it, why would he then make the parables more complex to where the people he's communicating to don't exist or don't
the Calvinists will say
that's how mystery cult works.
The Calvinists will say, well, God made so that the people who were meant to understand him would understand him. The rest of the people they weren't meant for.
Oh, that goddamn elect.
I've heard the idea that the version of Christianity that survived was there was another version that was just what was told to the initial people to get them in, and then there's another level, and they would explain these mysteries further in. That's the way the mystery cults worked. I don't know if I that's the best explanation, but
well, the Scientology doesn't tell you about Xenu on day one,
right?
They got to rope you in first.
But then we've lost some of the.
That's why I believe, and I know this isn't scholarship, and this is not academia, or this is just my own personal takeaway from being a Christian for 30 years and now being on the other side of it and researching, for hours and hours and hours. I believe Paul is the greatest hype man and the greatest salesman and the greatest deceiver, if that man existed, of all time. And I believe he convinced people that this Jesus guy was real and built a cult on it. He essentially built in his time an MLM. He built an MLM based on this Jesus guy because if you think about it, he never met the guy. He never talked to the guy. He just had this experience. He had this vision on a road that nobody can verify. It was just him. And if you think about that, all these people that talk about they witnessed God or witnessed Jesus, it was always one person, right? All of a sudden we're supposed to believe that? No, that is how you get to a scam. That's how you get to an MLM or bullshit.
Just have faith the returns are coming, Oz. I can't show you any figures or anything. It's a great investment. Just have faith, and you'll make a lot of money. So just trust me.
Do we
have faith?
Do we have everybody in? Are we in the open mic now?
If he was just a con man, why wouldn't he make the religion about Paul? Why would he make it about Jesus? That's the only issue I'd have with that.
What'd you say?
Well, I'm thinking if he's a con man or salesman, and I think you make a good argument. But I think if that were true, he'd probably make it more about himself than about Jesus.
Oh no.
But
why would you ever? Hold on. Why would you? I'm in business. I've been an entrepreneur. I've been around very, very honest people. I've been around a lot of slimy people. And if you're in it for bad reasons or slimy reasons, you're never going to make it about you. If it's dirty, and it's shady, you're never going to put the shade on you. You're going to say, okay, how can I build this and construct this to make it about another person or another entity where they take the heat? If
that person is already dead.
Yeah, see, that's a lot easier to say, oh, this dead guy, he did a bunch of miracles, rather than saying, oh, I can do miracles, because then people are going to be like, well, let's see it. And then you can't do that.
And so...
I just want to say MLM, multi-level Messiah.
Yep.
Woohoo! And so we have actually one more person, And thank you so very much, Oz, dropping the mics. And okay, we are going into open conversation. Mike's Hard Lemonade. Well, that's it. I actually, those types of alcohols, I like alcohols. I don't really like the taste of alcohol, if I'm being honest with you. But if you can make it taste good,
Beer.
Well, I'll drink it.
Beer tastes good.
I just like the commercials with Mike Tyson.
I mean, if it's a sweet beer, I'll drink it. I can't help it. I like sweet things.
Guinness Stout.
All right, Amy, bring your guest on. Sorry.
No, we're having a good old time. And okay, OG White, we are Midnight Ranting, trying to figure out, could the Ark have worked? Hope you're doing well. And what are your thoughts about the debate, the subject, or anything we've been talking about?
Thanks for having me. I invented young Earth creationism, just so you know, and I just think you guys are just a bunch of incredulous disbelievers that don't even try.
Wait, so you are a creationist? Oh man, that's good.
It's Jamie. It's Jamie.
Oh, it's Jamie. Oh, okay. Hi, Jamie.
Hey guys, how y'all doing?
So did you? I guess with that, we'll go into open conversation. Then.
Are you a fan of Kent Hovind?
Not really. I guess I used to be. But I think people misunderstand him. Like, he's not a scientist, obviously.
But that's the problem, is that he acts like he is.
Yeah, that might be a problem. I agree.
Introductory level creationist.
That's fair. I mean, my background is Seventh-day Adventist. You couldn't tell. You know, they have a lot of actual universities, or just universities with accredited teachers, at least. I don't know if how that works. I know Loma Linda's, I think, accredited in Loma Linda, California, for medicals. They have a lot of medicals, but there's lots of PhD young Earth creationists. I think there's 1,600 schools around the world that Seventh-day Adventists have built, and 600 are like.
Are you an Adventist, Jamie?
Yeah, I said he is.
You need to create a new microphone.
I think it's his connection.
Yeah.
I do.
It was fuzzy yesterday too.
I do have
I didn't
one.
know he was an Adventist. Though.
Yeah.
I do have one objection to what OG White said, but I'll wait for the open mic period for that.
And so, what did you think, Jamie, of the debate, or what do you think of just the Ark in general?
His connection dropped.
Yeah, I
don't think he's here.
That sounds
All I
good.
hear is some rustling around.
Amy, try asking one more time.
I think he just dropped.
I think he's gone.
And, okay,
he's gone.
with that, we are going
Back
into
to
open
open mic.
conversation.
Well,
Yeah, I don't know why he brought up that there are PhD young Earth creationists. It doesn't matter the credentials of the people who propound the idea. What matters is the merits of the idea. And the thing that you will find is young Earth creationism, or just creationism, or intelligent design has absolutely no place in academia, and that's because it isn't a model. It doesn't have any. It isn't explicative, and it makes absolutely no predictions. There's no way we can test for it. There's no way that we can use it. Nothing like that.
Leo,
the thing is,
the reason is it's something akin to a appeal to authority fallacy. It's along those lines.
I just want. I want to. It has nothing to do with young Earth or Jesus or anything. Leo, I have to ask you. I've always wanted to ask this live. How many Red Bulls?
I don't drink energy drinks.
I love Red Bull.
Coffee?
No, I don't drink coffee late at night.
You're getting closer, though.
You probably should never start.
Hold on. Dude, I love that at 2. Okay, I feel you. I feel you. I love that every time I'm on live with you at like 2 a.m., like your energy level is through the roof, and I love it. And I'm like, this dude has to be like shotgunning Red Bulls.
Leo is drinking the Corona without the virus. Leo is drinking the Corona without the virus.
I love the energy, but there I've seen times though. Sometimes you kind of need to slow down and like listen to the argument that you're actually refuting, because I've seen sometimes where everything you're saying is correct,
You gotta put the brakes on him.
the person you're arguing with isn't saying that isn't arguing against what you're saying. You know what I mean? So like sometimes I think you get so excited about because of your about the argument. I think sometimes you kind of go off the rails a little bit. But I love the excitement though.
Yeah, I would need to see specific examples of that. Anyway,
I noticed
moving on, Randolph.
is back, and Jamie, before I raised the issue I had with something you said, Amy was trying to ask you when you got cut off, got disconnected there, about what your thoughts are on the Ark or the debate. Would you like to talk on that first?
Give me a second.
What about Jesus is a myth?
Okay, well, then in that case, maybe I'll just tell you what I would object to while you're getting your mic sorted out. I assume that's what you're doing. You had said that we're all incredulous and didn't put any effort into this.
I was just saying hi. Now I felt
or lazy or something. And, when I hear people here talking about reasons why the Ark doesn't float, I'm hearing a lot of reasoning that sounds to me like effort has been put into it. I certainly put some effort into this to try to understand what the different issues are with the issues that I raised. And so this is why I object to that part of what you said.
I wasn't so much talking about you, I guess, necessarily. I missed part of it because of my connection, but I was being somewhat hyperbolic, but I do think the way people are characterizing it is a little bit exaggerated. I mean, people have done feasibility studies, and yeah, there's a few things that are hard to imagine, I guess. But there's a lot of to say there's no evidence for a worldwide flood is that's just a silly thing to say.
No, it's not. There literally is none. In fact, there's evidence that there has never been a worldwide flood. So it's not just that we don't have evidence that there was a worldwide flood. We have evidence, very strong evidence, that there never was.
Period.
I do agree with Leo on this.
Period.
Me too.
Yeah, we know it didn't happen. We actually know that.
Geologists will tell you it did not happen.
Christian geologists will tell you that.
Yeah.
You understand that just the mainstream model has many problems as well. I mean,
such as
deposition and erosion rates, for instance, and with the time scales. Like, if you take, for instance, if you take the and you can look it up on this is from secular textbooks. The information is, and I may get some of the numbers wrong, but they'll be in the right areas. I don't have any paper in front of me, but if I remember right, it's like the slowest measured rate of erosion on Earth is about, I want to say, 1 millimeter per 1,000 years. That's like on granite or whatever in certain areas. Even at that rate, and consider that rate everywhere on the Earth, and then apply that, and you got like everything on the continents eroded in like 100, like not even 10 million years.
So why is Mount Everest still growing then?
Hold on, everybody. So Jamie, my email address is austin@tart.live. I have two geologists that I'll get you an opportunity to talk to two geologists that will have this conversation with you live.
Please tell me one of them, Steve Bauman,
and demonstrate and prove that this thing did not happen.
Well, I have a question. Why are you taking the slowest erosion rate and then assuming it was like that all over the Earth?
I'm saying the slowest erosion rate measured on granite applied to the Earth.
But that could be in one area.
The problem
or
is
that could be in one place.
Wait.
You're thinking about it like a creationist still.
Well, I'm thinking about it like I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. I'm saying even if you
you're not. You're doing the opposite.
No, you're thinking about it like a creationist. You're ignoring.
Can we let him respond?
Okay, go ahead.
I haven't even given the full argument. The point is, if I give you the slowest possible measured rates we measure on Earth, apply it everywhere, because there is erosion that's going to happen everywhere. Nothing, I mean, for the most part, the great majority of the Earth is going to suffer some kind of slow erosion from wind, rain, etc. So my point is, even if I give you the slowest possible measured, like light rain on granite, okay, and I apply that everywhere, that's why we have the slowest possible erosion on the whole Earth. even at that speed, that would have eaten the geologic column 10 times over in 100 million years. And so why would there be fossils still exist?
Tectonic activity.
Does every single so the problem why I said you're thinking about this like a creationist, because you're imagining all the mountains, all the land fully formed, and then this erosion happening since the dawn of time. That's not how it works. Some areas get uplifted, some areas are in deposition, and some are in erosion. I don't see how this is a problem at all.
And you have volcanoes creating new material as well.
The point is that when you it would erode from the top down, okay, and it would push up from the bottom up. That would eat the geologic column. You get them? You don't get that?
Not if you have an area that's
what? So let's get him on with two geologists. Why do all this? Let's get him on with two geologists.
Well, also, why did you flip it around to attacking the standard model instead of trying to defend the flood?
That's a good point, but I did want to say quickly, I'm pretty sure the geologic column is built from the top and then is pushed down, and then that's where we get things like deposits of petroleum oil. It's not fed from the bottom up, where older layers are slowly exposed and then eroded away. They're older because they're lower, because it builds on top and pushes down.
And erosion happens from the top down, and so it would, it wouldn't. For instance, okay, here's another thing. How are these oil deposits under like thousands of pounds of pressure when they pop up?
Hydrostatic equilibrium. You can't compress liquids.
Look, right, but you can compress it into the rock.
No, they are in the rock.
No.
Oil deposits are in the rock.
Yeah,
oil isn't like in a pool. It's not like it's in a pool. It's actually within the spaces in the rock.
Exactly. That's why with hydraulic fracturing or fracking, they have to use pressure and crack the shale in order to extract the natural gas.
It's pressure.
Hey, Jamie,
fractions
I want you
to occur over millions of years. Okay.
Wait, what?
I want you to do me a favor. Try to see. Contact a few oil companies, and ask them if the geologists that find the oil for them are old Earth geologists or flood geologists, and just call a few oil companies and see how many of them employ old Earth geologists and how many employ flood geologists.
Look, I'm not retarded. I'm not retarded. I've been looking at this for a long time. I understand that how you look at it. You guys are not willing to look at it open-mindedly. That's fine.
Yeah, we are.
Listen. Hold on.
You think there's no problems in the regular model? You're crazy.
No, who said there weren't problems? We just said that the problems aren't enough to overturn the model.
Guys, hold on. Are there anybody? Is there anybody, including myself? I'll say no. Is there anybody in this chat right now that's a geologist?
Nope.
Why is that relevant?
Well, because if we want to have that
I like
conversation,
geology.
if we want to have that conversation, let's put him in contact. And I just reached out again.
Nat's a geologist.
I have three natural geologists that will have this conversation and go through this on a very academic level. And that way there's no, well, it's just your opinion and you didn't, go to school for this or whatever. There's no opinions being thrown into it. Like this is academia.
I mean, that's a good point, but like the things he's brought up so far are easily refuted with
Exactly.
My one semester of geology and
Yeah,
So
and I do think it's a good point that the oil companies use the timescales that we're talking about and not a young Earth timescale. And this is a several billion-dollar industry.
So this isn't a several billion. This is a quarter of $1 trillion industry.
Well, some have tried to employ flood geologists, and they all failed spectacularly.
But that's what I'm saying. Are we going to be?
trying to make logic.
Are we without the ones that have stayed as the professionals? And this is me actually giving. I think it's Jamie trying to pay a little bit of tribute or respect to Jamie. If that is the position, let's get professionals on the line, so to speak, and let them handle it. Or are we going to be so arrogant to say that we're the professionals, even though we haven't been, that's not our area of expertise.
I don't think discussing these subjects with somebody means that you're arrogant and you think you're a professional. I have videos on my channel about cosmology and quantum mechanics. I have no degrees in anything. Am I arrogant? Or am I just interested in the subjects and like talking about them? I mean, I'm no geologist, but as Marshall already said, some of the points that Jamie are bringing up aren't that hard to address. I mean, I'm not opposed to him having a discussion with professional geologists. They could get into nuances I wouldn't even be able to consider because I don't have the knowledge. I'm just saying I don't think there's something wrong with us engaging in these discussions with him here.
Does any one of us have a PhD in anything?
No, that's my whole point.
Well, I don't think that these discussions are colloquia. Like, we don't need to be professionals to engage in them. Having discussions with professionals is great. I would encourage more young Earth creationists to actually sit down with legitimate professionals in the field and discuss these things. But I guess the point that I'm getting at is here, this is more of a colloquia. We're just discussing topics within the realm of our lay understanding of the subjects. Just,
if I can interrupt you both, I have. Well, it sounded like Oz was going to say something. If you want, finish Oz, but then I have a question for Jamie.
Yeah, I'll say this, and I'll be done. Leo, I do agree that we're able to have open conversations about any of this, but when somebody keeps pushing back against what the what the consensus is, and where most of the professionals lie,
you can say all.
No, I'm not going to say all.
Because statistically,
I'm going to be as down the middle as I can be. When that's opposed, that's when I go to those that have been educated. They're the professionals, right? They can handle it. That's what I'm saying. So Leo, I love you, man. You're my dude. But when it's the constant pushback on, well, no, it doesn't matter what consensus says or what the professionals say. This is what I think. Well, then okay, then if that's really where we're at, then let's talk to the people that actually do this shit.
Yeah, I agree.
Who would say?
Yeah, if you're going to reject the academic literature and the academic consensus, then yeah, I think you ought to have discussions with an academic.
Well, I wanted to have a question, is because I got two questions to Kent. One that I really wanted to know, and which maybe you can answer, Jamie. What would it be that would convince you that the Noah story didn't happen?
Let me see. I'm not sure. I think just enough evidence that showing. I mean,
how are you defining evidence?
Geological evidence. I mean, you do realize there are a lot of things that are hard to explain. I mean, there's things hard to explain either way. And I get that, I'm not oblivious to the idea. I'm not Kent Hovind, okay? Like, I'm aware that the vast majority of people take, the common, whatever you want to call it, the regular model or whatever of old time
concordance model.
No, I mean just the long age, slow uniformitarian model, and I think
the concordance model, the model that is concorded with all of the data and the evidence and the literature and the observations. The concordance model.
I think you're just being a little bit you're exaggerating how the evidence is. That's all I mean.
I don't think so,
because there are features on the Earth that are really difficult to even imagine how they could happen.
Of course,
slowly, and so
we don't know what goes on inside of a black hole, but that doesn't mean all of astrophysics is somehow wrong.
It's not like that, and I think it's naive to think that all the evidence that you usually would muster for saying, well, like it's it all concords together because the rock, the ages of the rock and stuff. If you look at the history of how that developed, they're not disconnected and all converging on the same truth. In my opinion.
Well, no, not on the same truth, on the same conclusion that the Earth is billions of years old and there are very slow geologic processes that result from the slow cooling of the planet that have given rise to the particular structure that we see within the Earth. This is what geology studies. They have a concordance model. Unfortunately for you, the data that we see, the experiments that we've run, and the observations that we made all concord with this idea. There's absolutely no reason to reject this model for the same reason that there's absolutely no reason to reject the atomic theory of matter, for the same reason that there's absolutely no reason to reject general relativity, for the same reason that there's absolutely no reason to reject the germ theory. These are the concordance models within their respective fields. We're not, nobody's saying they answer every single question. Nobody's saying that there are still places where we've got work to do, but this is the best we have. This is it, explicitly indicated by our observations and the data that we collect, and this thereby is what we should work with going forward, and that's exactly what the scientists do.
Okay, there are certain things that in my mind are better reasons to wonder if the model's correct. And just like if you grow up in a certain church and they teach you certain doctrines, it's not a lot different in science. You build a model off certain assumptions. All of it's built off of a certain kind of assumption, and you go from there. Okay, I'm plenty aware of that fact. And
do you reject the assumptions of the scientific method?
No, of course not. We invented it. The believers invented it. You're welcome.
What do you mean?
I mean science. We invented it. You're welcome.
What do you mean we? I don't know what you, like humans? Of course humans invented it.
Believers in God.
Well, what does that have to do with anything? That would be no different than saying that like it was mainly Greeks and Muslims that developed the scientific method.
Yeah, that's like saying that men developed science just because it was mostly male scientists.
Pointing out the particular religiosity of those who contributed most to science, especially given that those contributions were made during a time when religiosity was a very, very prominent aspect of human culture. Hold on here. Is no different than pointing out the particular nationality of scientists. It's irrelevant. The fact that most of the people who have contributed to science throughout history happen to belong to a religion doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean that the religion somehow has credit for that. For the same reason that the fact that Max Planck was Austrian and sort of birthed the concept of quantization in physics and birthed quantum mechanics doesn't make quantum mechanics an Austrian idea.
Sure it does.
No, it doesn't.
If he invented the idea, then
He didn't invent the idea, just like Christians or religious people didn't invent science. Numerous people from numerous different faiths or no faith at all contributed to science over thousands of years. It is not monopolized on by any faith or any belief system. And to indicate that, I'm sorry, it's just drastically historically inaccurate.
Preach,
I didn't say anything.
Preacher.
Well, it seems now that you're
Hallelujah.
backpedaling because you directly said that we invented it. You're welcome, indicating that science or that theistic belief has a monopoly on science. I'm sorry, no historian is going to agree with that.
Are you going to thank the Muslims for the number system that you use?
No, they stole it from the Indians.
No, they didn't.
No, they didn't.
Arabian Muslims came up with the number system that we still use.
Just think of it as
Give
human.
credit. I'll give him credit for it. Sure.
No, actually, it did come from India. It came to us via the Arabs, but it did originate in India.
I don't know about that.
Arabic numerals came from India originally. He's actually right.
Here's what Christianity came up with.
But then,
hold on. Here's what Christianity came up with, or Paul. Not even Christianity. Here's what Paul came up with: faith. And guess what faith is? Bullshit. You're welcome, Christianity.
Faith is awesome.
No, I was wrong. Marshall is correct. They originated in India in the 6th or 7th century, according to the Encyclopedia Britannica.
He's not going to thank the people from India.
Who said faith is awesome?
I already did. What do you mean?
You can thank them as they're on their way to hell.
I said I'm going to
faith is the best way to ascertain the truth.
Wait, hold on. Wait, no. Hold up here. We've got a very important. Hold on. I've got a very important question to ask P-Mars. Very important question. How are you defining truth in this manner?
Objective reality.
I don't know what you mean when you say that. But when you say that truth is objective truth just seems tautological. That's uninformative. So how are you defining truth in this particular instance?
I don't know. Truth.
Well, no, I don't know what you mean by that actually. I know what I mean when I use that word, but I don't know what you mean when you use that word.
like love, freedom.
Well, love would be an emotion. I don't see how love has the property of truth.
Love is.
I don't think love is an emotion. I think it transcends.
So what's your definition of truth?
Love.
I don't know what that means.
He's stoned. He's
He
stoned.
said objective morality.
I mean, I'm stoned. I'm coherent
I'm
here,
not-
so
I'm not prepared
don't
for
give us a bad rep now.
I'd rather not define words.
Well, that's important though. I
Well,
mean, we
that-
got to know what the things that we're talking about mean, right? Because if we don't agree on that, then that's going to be an obvious point of contention, and the discussion can't move forward. So what we mean by what we say is very important to a
But
decision.
I'm a human
Wouldn't it be
being. I'm not a
better just love
dictionary.
God, just love Jesus.
Yeah, dude,
Doesn't
just
matter
love-
if it's true or not.
Just love shit.
It can
dude.
all
Like,
be
what the fuck?
bullshit, but we just love him.
I don't understand. What's the problem, man? It's like
He died for
don't you
us.
Well,
He died
don't
for
you
our
believe in
sins.
you don't believe in love or what? You don't.
I
what's-
agree
You want to
in
hate? You
love.
want to hate everyone and be
Yeah.
angry?
Hold on.
I'd rather love
guys,
people.
Everybody, hold on. Everybody, hold on. It's not a matter of nobody wants to love or not, but when we're gonna have these conversations about these beings that then are supposed to comport to our reality, which then would make them true or untrue, we need to understand what you believe, or at least how you define truth. So if you could give that, that would be important. If not, then it's not worth having a conversation with you about whether a god or
Sounds like you want to have
other
a conversation with a dictionary.
No, I want to have I want to have a conversation with you, but I need to know your definitions.
Okay, but
Dictionaries aren't actually.
I don't. I'm a
sources
human
on
being.
definitions.
I'm not a dictionary, so I don't know why you're asking me to define words. I think you're a weirdo.
Why would you? Wait a minute.
No.
Would you have a conversation with somebody?
Stop. Pause. Everybody, pause.
I don't ask people on
it's-
YouTube to define words for me. I go to a dictionary. That's just me.
Wait, but dictionaries
Oh my
give
God.
usages.
Oh my God! Please, everybody, just give me one chance.
Go ahead,
I'm going to go to bed. So just give me a chance. So I hear what you're saying. Yes, there is a dictionary, and if you and I, if we want to, we can do a screen share on our computer or our phones, and we can look it up together. Right? We can do that. But the reason we ask that, or I ask that, what is your definition of truth, is so that we're on the same page. It's not me asking you to be Webster Dictionary. I just want to know how you define truth in your reality.
It's been a while since we had Dat come on and read the dictionary to us. So
Truth is objective reality, and love is a commitment and sacrifice to the.
I don't understand that.
To understand what?
What truth is objective reality?
Oh my God!
I don't.
Truth is what is objectively reality. What's wrong with
Well, yeah, but that somebody who doesn't necessarily adhere to the correspondence theory of truth may reject that. So,
Well, okay.
what's the
definitely-
argument for what you're saying?
You asked what my common definition of truth is, or that's my common definition of truth, my non-technical definition. And love is basically being committed to the other person before yourself, but like sacrifice, commitment.
I love you.
By the way, I am sharing my screen just because I want to make a very quick point on the matter of
So
truth.
is there one objective reality?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because according to relativity, you can have two observers who both say that their objective reality is one is different from each other. They don't agree on what's real.
They're both right.
But they're both right.
A quick point of just nuance. It's not that they disagree on objective reality. It's that they disagree on particular measurements of objective. Reality is still objective. How they're measuring it, they can't be agreed upon, because how we measure things must be with respect to something else. Otherwise, what does it mean to measure something?
So you're always measuring.
That's what I meant.
You all know what I
Bias.
mean by that, don't you?
It's always
you
got
got
to be that way.
Well, if you go on faith and you don't have bias, that's why faith is superior.
I don't
So
think you know what
is
faith
there just
is.
one objective truth?
But how do you get
no.
to faith? You just arbitrarily pick something. I'm gonna just believe in this.
That's,
just because.
well, that's what I'm getting to.
You just accept reality the way it is without your bias.
Okay, so
That's the
you
attitude
accept
of
reality
faith.
the way you use faith, and you have arrived at one answer.
Faith is
What
trust.
about people who use faith to arrive at a completely different answer? Does that demonstrate that it's more likely to be true or less likely to be true, or more likely to be a good method to arrive at truth or a bad method?
Life's a journey, man. You gotta consider the arguments.
I would say most
faith is
people
the
have a
argument.
bias that they don't want to murder their children, right? You'd have that bias. I would say most people do.
Is that really a bias? I don't know if that's a good
Unless
word. I
God
mean, maybe like a
tells you.
disposition. I think
Unless God tells you,
disposition is a much better
You got
word to use there.
So the idea is you're willing to go against your bias and accept the truth. And
Well, that's what
the
science
idea
all
of
about.
faith.
Yeah, that's
People have unconscious
Well,
bias.
that's what it's supposed to be about.
Well, that's not what it's supposed to be. That's what it is.
No, it's not what it is because it becomes institutionalized and dogmatic, and it's.
Hello.
Hi, I'm talking to.
Hello. Is my mic okay? Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, I was just getting overtalked. Anyway, built in
You were
intrinsically.
overtalking.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Anyway,
Hi,
built in intrinsically in the methodologies of science is the concept of peer review and corroboration through peer review. The way that scientific methodologies are set up is to eliminate bias, and we can say this quite plainly as the methodologies of science are used and the level of scrutiny and questioning that goes on.
Yeah, but that's not That's not the reality, though. Like you can try to make it like that all you want, but when it's the institutions are corrupted.
What do you know
it's
about
not
peer
gonna
review,
work.
Mars? Can you tell me how
I
the
don't
peer
know
review
anything.
process?
Yeah.
So then why should I listen to you?
You don't have to listen to me. You can listen to President Eisenhower and his speech.
What I care about what some
his
dead guy
farewell
has to
address.
say.
Well, why would you? Because his opinion goes against yours.
Well,
so don't care about it.
I don't know what you're. I don't know. I don't even know what you're talking about right
go
now.
with sources that confirm what your bias says. That's
What
what you should
bias?
do.
What bias are you talking about?
Oh yeah, you don't have any bias.
Wait, when did I say I
He
didn't
didn't
have
even-
biases?
he
I
didn't
have
even say
biases.
that.
I just don't know what you're talking about right now.
People have unconscious biases.
I'm talking about how science is corrupt. It's not.
Yeah,
it's
you're
a
claiming
dogmatic.
that the methodologies that science uses to arrive at the conclusions of the experiments that we run is corrupted. Yet you literally just admitted you don't know anything about the peer review process. How are you going to make direct statements about how the peer review process works and that it's corrupt when, by your own admission, you don't understand how it works?
I
That's
wouldn't
the point
even
I'm
talk
getting at.
about it. I wouldn't even care to talk
And you
about
know
it.
what? So then what happens when we use that process?
Because science is corrupt, and that's the truth. And I have other sources. I don't need. I don't need to submit to your demands because you're a nerd on the internet.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We
If
get
you
all
talk
this
about
stuff
science-
using science. What do we get
If
with
you talk
faith?
about science, you're talking about peer review because peer review is essential to science, and the point of it is to remove biases and eliminate them.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, the point of Christianity is to love each other, but then the Crusades happened. So, just because it's the point of something to remove bias doesn't mean it actually does it.
Yeah, but we see it in its operation.
He's right, dude. Peer review, you're being naive about peer review because I get it. It's an important thing. We should use it and we should attempt to use it as it's intended. But the fact of the matter is money is involved. Jobs are on the line. People.
Not really.
Okay, look, I put a thing in the chat. I've given this to you before. I don't think you've watched it.
You're giving me an external link to YouTube, not an academic citation. Why would I consider that?
Scientific source, Veritasium, that guy.
Veritasium? No, that's not an academic source. I'm sorry.
Dude, he's using academic papers to prove what he's talking
Yeah, well then you can go and give me those papers. Don't give me external links to YouTube. That's very bad citation.
You're not a.
To be fair, Veritasium is a really cool. It is awesome YouTube channel. Everybody,
It is an
check
awesome
out.
YouTube channel. That's great. I didn't deny that, but it's not an academic source.
He's using.
I know. I'm just.
What's the title of the video?
It's about peer review and its viability.
I've watched plenty of Veritasium videos. I really doubt that he would reach the same conclusion about science as you do.
I know he doesn't agree.
Highly doubt it.
I'm telling you to watch it about peer review because you guys sound naive about it.
And I
We
just
sound
wanna
naive, but you
interrupt
don't even know what it
guys
is.
For a second, I want to send many, many hearts to Oz and the
Yeah, we lost
entire crew off at Tart.live. Go check out the Atheist Roundtable and the Atheist Network group and all the fantastic non-believing content creators out there as we normalize atheism. See that, Randolph? I'm tying it all together.
The thing is, I just looked at this YouTube link. Actually, just a few weeks ago, I saw that video. It was in my suggested videos, and I clicked on it. This video doesn't mention anything about corruption or money or anything like that being involved. The point of the video is to show that given the methods that are utilized in the peer review process and the amount that is submitted, we are bound to get things that pass through the process and end up getting peer reviewed when honestly they probably shouldn't have been. It's when as to the question that is posed by the video,
right?
Is most published research actually wrong?
You're not
the answer to that question would be no. I mean, obviously the process isn't perfect. All he's pointing out in the video is that some things slip through peer review that really shouldn't
That's
get
always
through.
going to happen.
Hey, you
But
know the great thing?
It's thoroughly drowned out by the fact that the vast majority of what is peer reviewed is rigorous research, even if its conclusions can't thoroughly be verified.
Well, the great thing about peer review as well is that just because something makes it past peer review doesn't mean it won't get peer reviewed sometime later on. That's the great thing about science, is that it is always open to be contested. Whereas with faith, once it becomes dogma, you can't fucking question it.
No, you sure you can.
I totally disagree. I think science is just as dogmatic as faith, and anyone who questions the dogma, look at Andrew Wake.
Is dogma a bad thing?
Why do you complain about being interrupted and you constantly interrupt?
Well, I'm just trying to clarify your position.
Why would anyone take you seriously when you're such an obvious hypocrite?
What do you mean by dogma? I have no problem being interrupted.
You know what dogma is.
When people
stop asking me. I'm not going to define words.
Yeah, you just don't. You're just not a serious.
I'm not defining words.
Yeah,
I'm not defining words.
You're just not a serious.
I'm a human being.
You don't care about having a discussion. You don't care about explaining what you mean.
Is dogma bad?
Yes, I think dogma is bad. I think we should be. I think we should be open-minded, and to me, science isn't open-minded. It's a tool of politicians to take advantage of, like, it is. Zbigniew Brzezinski talked about this.
Don't understand.
Zbigniew Brzezinski said another threat.
I don't even know who that is.
You don't know who Zbigniew Brzezinski is? Oh my goodness!
But who is?
Politicians don't understand science, though, so I don't know
exactly.
What you're talking about.
Like, science doesn't really have
You're
a lot
little
to do
kid.
with politics.
You don't really understand how the world works.
That's not an argument.
Yeah, it's not.
But it's the truth.
What do you mean by truth?
Really.
Well, he's a little kid.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand. He doesn't know who Zbigniew Brzezinski is. I mean, that's kind of embarrassing.
Were you showing love when you said that?
Because he has nothing to do with the subject.
Were you showing love when you said that? Was that said out of love?
Love is stern. It's not mere kindness. Yes, truth and honesty is love. I uplift my brother by telling them the truth. Leo, you are a petulant child and a pretty stupid person.
I mean, you haven't given any arguments against
Holy
what
Spirit
I said.
compelled me to say that.
Thrown insults
Matthew 10:22.
That'll speak for itself.
Whoever says to his brother, "Thou fool," is deserving of the fires of hell.
I mean, that was just rude.
Yeah,
by the way,
Jesus also called people fools. So what he's saying is you're not supposed to be angry, right? And I have no anger in my heart. I love Leo Filius. I wish he would, learn how the world works. I could educate him. I'm willing to edify him.
And I don't think
he's a little child.
You could educate me on.
And I'm an old man. I could teach him some things.
I mean, you're not even giving arguments to what I'm saying. By the way, to Will Stewart in the YouTube chat, he says, so Fauci should be trusted. Yes. Fauci should be trusted. In fact, he's one of the most accredited and one of the most well-respected and well-reputed scientists on the subject literally in the world. Of course he should be trusted. Fauci is to medicine what Stephen Hawking was to physics.
And actually, before we go into any more, we're actually going to get Amaretto, or Lunar Goddess. We have an actual goddess down there. See, look at that. We're proving theism here tonight. And I saw Blaster Master. I think he wanted to come in. Also Kinky. And we're going to go on for another 15, 20 minutes. So come on if you have something to say. And I'm halfway between, let's see, I'm going to hand it over to you, Amaretto, but it's getting later, so we're going to keep it in the all mode, but it is yours. How are you doing tonight? And what are your thoughts about, we're talking Midnight Ranting on could the Ark have worked? But what are your thoughts about the debate, the topic, or anything we've been talking about tonight?
Yeah, I just had to kind of jump in here because, like, P. Mars, you are like, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? Like, you are such a sack of shit to think that you know how the world works and Leophilius doesn't. Like, go fuck yourself,
The guy that
dude.
didn't know how peer review works knows how the world works, and I don't.
Like, good lord, this is why Titan and other people were saying not to let you in. You are you are the snot-nosed little shit Darth, like, talks about. Like, it's really quite sad that you think, like, you are, like, the most intelligent fucking person in this chat.
That's true. Should I cut this off? Okay, let me maybe probably. I can't. Also, she's a theist. I just want to point that out.
Yeah, I am a theist, and I think you're full of shit.
I think I'm becoming a theist. Amaretto's my new goddess or god.
Listen, I had to jump in here because I'm like, 3 of my cuties are in here, and so I was like, AJ's in here, Leo's in here, Marshall's in here. Okay,
Wow, I'm one of
joining
them.
this shit.
Wait, what about Randolph?
Randolph is daddy. Daddy's different.
Right.
Big Daddy.
Daddy atheist.
I mean, I can be daddy sometimes.
Yeah, Big Daddy atheist.
I like where all
anyway.
of this conversation is going.
Who's grandpa?
Now we just need the
Mental
clip
honey.
of you saying that you like being on your
Speed.
knees, Amy. But no, I think it's the idea of the Ark happening. Like, this is one of those stories that I feel that really, like, puts the Bible into no, can't happen. And mind you, I'm a magic practitioner. I'm a pagan. And I think.
Did you say magic?
Yeah.
Hold on.
The person who believes in literal magic.
Magic?
Yeah,
Leo, you read my mind. It might have been the
Leo,
magic.
Put it away. Put it down, Leo.
The person who openly admits to believing in magic thinks your story is too magical.
I think doesn't. I mean, what is this, motherfucking Harry Potter? Like, and I believe in magic. It's like, this is why this book is fable, and this book should not be used and taken at 100% face value.
Did Jamie left? We chased Jamie off.
Oh.
Good night, Jamie.
Well,
He's got a bad
connection. Jamie. Oh yeah,
He's got a
that might
bad
be his
connection.
connection.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think that unless something happened where we're talking like ancient aliens bullshit, I think the probability of this, this story happening is just, there's no evidence for it.
It would have to be magic. It would have to be magic.
It would have to be magic beyond what, like, even the magic
what you
user
can do,
knows.
even, yeah. Beyond
I mean,
even
seriously,
your abilities.
like, and I just can't fathom it, you know? And I don't think it makes anybody stupid for questioning it. And I think, insulting people, insulting people's intelligence on here generally is not, in good faith.
Well, also
It's
going after somebody's age.
Yeah,
Darth says that to me, and I'll refuse to answer him what my age is because he thinks I'm some teenager. I've encountered him like 3 times. The most recently one.
How old people are.
Because Darth somehow never left high school. I'm sorry, if you're ashamed of your autistic kid, you're a sack of shit. That's all there is to it.
It's what happens when people know they can't win an argument. Oh, well, how old are you? Oh,
yeah,
you're
or
probably
if
like
somebody
17.
If somebody peaked in high school, but even if you are older, it's like, congratulations on being born first.
Yeah, but there was something I did want to say quickly to a point that P. Mars was making and Jamie Russell was kind of backing it up, and then Will seemed to express support, Will Stewart, in the live chat. This idea that science is misguided and it's got all this bias in it. You'll notice that we won't hear any arguments for that. We won't have any specific examples, or if we do, we'll get just a couple of offhanded examples that don't really mean anything, like this Veritasium video, things like that. What you'll get are really, really vague references to something that you could slap on practically any institution that exists, regardless of whether it's true. And that's, oh well, money corrupts it, and oh well, there's a bias. But you won't get anything beyond that because there isn't any substance to these arguments. These are arguments ran by people who take positions that are thoroughly rebuked by the academic literature and by the expert consensuses in these subjects. And because of the dissonance that arises with knowing that their positions disagree with all of the literature, the academic literature that we have on the subject, they need to find a way to just dismiss the legitimacy of that. They do it by appealing to a bias and appealing to mistakes in the system and all sorts of these asinine arguments to try to dismiss the legitimacy of the very information and data that shows that they're wrong.
Bias doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad and not true.
Right.
But if you're just going to dismiss something do a fucking Tom jump, yeah, you have no valid fucking argument.
Well, the thing is,
we live in a scientific dictatorship. It's obvious.
We live in a society, sir. We live
in a science. I've got thousands of videos on my channel exposing science. We live in a scientific dictatorship.
What do you mean by exposing science?
This isn't
Exposing
my
science for
idea,
what?
by the way. This was talked about by Bertrand Russell, Aldous Huxley. I didn't come up with this.
No, it wasn't.
So this is how society is. They control what we believe is true or not by they just attach
This
the
is just
science
conspiracy
label to it. No, it's not a conspiracy. Aldous Huxley. Do you think Aldous Huxley's a conspiracy?
Yeah, but no, they're not saying
You're probably quote mining.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's
I'm
doing.
not quote mining. Go look
Yes,
at the
you are.
lecture, The
I have.
Ultimate. You have
I mean,
not.
this
The
is a
Ultimate
conspiracy
Revolution
channel too,
by.
right?
Well, I'm not. What's this conspiracy? Aldous Huxley, The Ultimate Revolution. I'm just saying what he's saying. It's not a conspiracy. He did write fiction, and if you go listen to his lecture, The Ultimate Revolution by Aldous Huxley, he says that Brave New World wasn't, it was a fiction book, but he said it was a social commentary, and that the predictions he made in the book were have come true or in the process of coming true.
But
it's
do you
all right there in his
understand
speech.
that, the problem with predictions in text like that is you can find ways to make a prediction fit.
Post hoc rationalization.
And also, there's statistics at play. After a certain number of times, something could happen where you could attribute it to that event. For example, people talk about Princess Diana being prophesized as dying in the Bible. Well, goodness gracious, how many princes and princesses have existed? You could have somebody else eventually would have come, if not Diana, to eventually fulfill that prophecy. We've talked about this before here on the channel. I remember us having a conversation about it. So, there's a couple of things you have to keep in mind when you're talking about anything with prophecies and foreshadowing and foretelling.
Well,
can I respond to?
I would just like a specific example of science. Like you said, I would like some examples of what you're talking about being true.
I need to respond to something in chat. Examusic said, science is the only game in town for discovering truth. There is nothing else. I'm sorry, that's demonstrably false. There are mathematical truths that you don't discover through science. There are logical truths that you don't discover through science. Most people would say moral truths if they ascribe to the idea of morals being truth apt. Would not say that they're discovered through science. Truth in certain epistemic instances is not derived through science. So that statement is just explicitly false. That's just scientism.
Isn't mathematics a subset of science, though?
No, science would utilize mathematics. I would argue mathematics is a subset of philosophy.
Science is one of the, or math is one of the four major branches of science. Numbnuts.
Well, yes, science utilizes math. Math was developed long before science was.
I like how somebody has to use the term numbnuts. I'm like, what the fuck is this, 2006? I really do feel back in high school.
I like insults. Am I the only one who likes insults?
No, I like insults.
Dude, you just,
but
I won't
you just got a barrage of them.
If that's what you're asking.
I was going to say, Like, I know I'm a little bit inebriated right now on the marijuanas, but I still can cuss like a fucking
Mars
sailor.
dishing out that insult.
Yeah, I'm an insult comedian.
Okay, yeah, this is why I think the Raging Atheist says, "Hey kids, don't be like P. Mars."
Have you ever seen
No,
Insult
sorry,
Comedian
not science.
by Kay and Peele? Shout out to Kay and Peele and the bit Insult Comedian.
The truth is a hard cross to bear. I would not wish this on any child.
Well, that's one thing. That's true, but it's not. It doesn't need to be delivered with insults.
Again, to Examusic, math is not science. Math can be utilized in science, such as if I ask you, give me, there is a car accelerating at some rate. Here is the function of the rate of its acceleration. Give me the second derivative with respect to position, which is what acceleration is. Boom. But if I said, take something along the line of like the set of real numbers and then some other character that they have and how it changes with time and take the derivative of that, you're not dealing with anything in science. It's pure mathematics. And when you deal with things like real analysis and complex analysis and functional analysis, naive linear algebra, abstract algebra, you don't deal with science. This is pure mathematics. You don't leave the realm of math. Science is not involved, and we still discover truths.
And Atheist Junior, I think you're about to ask a question, and so ask it, and then Leo respond. But then after Leo responds,
also the Exmo, math does not arise out of logic. Math and logic are coextensive with one another, but neither one arises out of
Leo.
Leo.
Look, we're gonna then get Blaster Master in. So I see the chain: Atheist Junior, Leo, and then Blaster Master.
Do you think the four words that make up the acronym STEM are separate things? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like
I think
STEM
they're
field?
all. I think, quite honestly, both science and engineering are both forms of applied mathematics. They're taking the concepts in math and applying it to understanding aspects of the real world. Engineering does this in more of a constructive manner, looking at reality to see what we can do and how we can use it to essentially, improve our society. Whereas science, like in the sense of like biology and physics and even aspects of like social sciences, sociology and psychology and what have you, are about examining the world as it is, trying to understand that and define it and make predictions about what's going to happen and things like that. And math is a very, very useful tool for doing that. But science, it's not like science and math are like, they're different things, but science needs math because when we want to understand reality and how it works, we need a way of quantifying things. And that's what math is. It's a convention for quantifying things, and that's why it's very useful to us in understanding the most basic aspects of our reality and how it works.
Most mad scientists are actually mad engineers.
Woohoo.
An engineer would build a death ray, not a scientist.
And so I am going to add in Blaster Master, and we're going to go for about another 15 minutes, and then we're heading into our outros. Because it'll be fun, and that should get us about up to hour 3. It's been going so fast, though. And okay, I'm just going to add you in because we're in the later half of the night, Blaster Master. But the floor is yours. I hope you are doing well. We are Midnight Ranting on if the Ark could work. Are we making this thing float or not? I hope you're doing well. What are your thoughts about the debate, the subject, or anything we've been talking about tonight?
Hi, good evening. Nice to see everyone.
Howdy.
Hello.
I think that Kent Hovind is kind of, I don't know, he's like something out of a circus.
You know?
He's a grifter.
Yeah, he's the circus conductor, and he has his circus, and he has all his clowns that follow him. They live on his ranch with him, or whatever you want to, his compound. I don't know, that place is, boy, to be a fly on the wall in that place, man, I'd pay money to see a documentary on that place.
See all 17 of them.
I mean, I tried to watch the Kent Hovind debate, but I know it's Kent Hovind, and I've seen like a million of his debates, and I just kind of skipped through it because I was curious. how much the other person was getting to talk, and I skipped through, and I didn't land. I skipped through, and I went through about like 5-minute increments, and I didn't land on a single moment where the other guy was talking. It was always Kent Hovind talking.
Oh my gosh.
And if I could just pin on that, he would not stay on subject either.
No.
I've never seen
he
Kent
never does.
Not at all.
more off topic than this debate. And he's off topic a lot, but holy moly, I feel like James was trying to throw a freaking lasso around him.
I've never seen anybody incorporate things like the Big Bang and the universe was once supposedly the size of smaller than a period on a sentence in every debate
How many
on
times
any
did you talk
possible
about
topic
rocks?
they've had.
Life coming from rocks. How many times did you bring that up? Like 5,
This
6
is the
times?
same dude that has the
By the way,
moon
none of that is
bukkake
correct
theory, right?
cosmologically.
He has the moon bukkake theory.
No, that's
He's
not.
Bukake? What?
Yeah. No,
Nephilim
Kent
Free has
Hovind
what he
thinks
calls the lunar bukkake
the
theory.
reason there's craters on the moon is because during the Great Flood, it shot rocks into the moon.
Yeah,
that was originally Nephilim Free.
Yeah.
Nephilim Free predicted
the Nephilim theory.
Yeah,
it's
Nephilim Free
Kent-
predicted we would find
It's Kent
whales
from the 90s,
on the
man.
moon.
I remember it. I'm old enough to remember.
Life
Trust
right.
me.
It's all making sense now.
I thought it was
Atheist
water.
Junior.
Water hit the moon.
Atheist Junior's got
Yeah.
a video where Kent Hovind's kicking a guy out of his cult for having diabetes. It's pretty funny.
Right. I think so. So Kent may have come up with the idea, but I think Nephilim Free was the one that made it an internet meme.
Nephilim Free is definitely from the Rational Wiki. It has been proposed and repeated by YouTube creationist Nephilim Free, though he didn't give it the derogatory name used here.
Yeah, and Kent Hovind and creationists specifically
Dr.
always
Freed.
steal each other's ideas.
Dr. Freed.
I remember Kent
Dr.
Hovind saying that theory in the 90s at my church.
Right.
I'm sure that Conservapedia is much more charitable toward Kent Hovind than they are to me. There's an entry about me in Conservapedia.
Oh, that's an achievement, Randall.
Woo-hoo.
Oh, it's interesting. What they write about me is mostly accurate, but there's some anger that seeps through from whoever wrote it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty neat. I'll try to find the link and I'll put it in the private chat.
Is that Jamie back?
Probably Gary Milne.
It's a fun read.
By the way, Nick Sitter did make a comment that is I would agree with at least mostly, and that is that Einstein was really good at science but sucked at math. When it came to special relativity, the person who did actually a lot of the mathematical outlining of that was a man by the name of Hermann Minkowski, which is why the particular space-time manifolds, the four-dimensional manifold that we use in special relativity is called a Minkowski space-time, and for general relativity, Marcel, oh Lord, what was his name? Marcel something helped Einstein develop the first rough draft of general relativity and helped him formalize a lot of the mathematics. And general relativity, mathematically, is probably, I would put general relativity and relativistic quantum field theory as two of the most mathematically rigorous subjects anybody could ever attempt to learn.
I think it was
Einstein-
Marcel Grossman.
Einstein used to invite young ladies to his house and answer the door wearing nothing but a trench coat and flash them. So, like, how do you think that would fly today? It'd probably be like Harvey Weinstein or something.
Well,
Where's your evidence for
what
that?
does-
I've never heard of that.
What
I
the
read it-
fuck
I
would
read
that
it
have
in
to
a-
do with his science?
I read
the
it
fuck
in a
is that?
biography.
We don't worship
like Gavin.
Einstein.
It was Marcel
Alex
Grossman.
Gordon.
It's true. It's a true story, and it's funny, right? So I thought I'd share
No.
it. Jeez.
Alex Gordon in the chat
funny to
said about Nephilim. Said about Nephilim.
No,
Free and
I read it
Calvin.
in a biography. It's true. Go.
What do you mean I read it in a biography? You got a link?
I mean, like I read a book. No, I read a book.
What's
dude.
the name of the
You
book?
can read.
I don't remember.
These Christians
Dude, you
love
can-
their books.
Mars
You
is a
don't-
genius. You
Hey
guys
Mars,
should
you can
like-
read.
I read hella books, dude. Like,
awesome.
I want to
Like
talk
what?
about Zbigniew Brzezinski's Between Two Ages, America's Role in the Technotronic Era, which goes into the scientific dictatorship.
Oh, so you read
Zbigniew
conspiracy
Brzezinski was the...
books, yeah.
Zbigniew
And
Brzezinski
Hello
was
Kitty.
in the Jimmy Carter administration. He was the Secretary of Defense in the Jimmy Carter administration. So you think he's a conspiracy theorist?
Yeah, I do.
His
Yeah,
daughter is married
cool.
to Joe Scarborough.
Like you.
Yeah,
on
he's a conspiracy
MSNBC.
theorist.
What you just said is like somebody coming to me and say, "Yeah, I've read Ayn Rand." Like I'm just gonna fucking laugh at you.
Yeah, and I like Carol
That's all I
Quigley.
can do.
Hey, can I read a funny chat real quick?
Tragedy and Hope.
Yeah, Leo,
that.
socialism is bullshit because Ayn Rand said so.
Right now,
Yeah,
I'm reading
exactly.
propaganda.
Dude, I've read Animal Farm.
1984, buddy. Huh?
God,
And I've been to an Animal Farm. There you go.
Alex,
I grew up
Alex
on one.
Gordon in the
She's
chat
been the
said,
cow.
No,
Never
you
mind.
have to read the Kennel by Elijah Green.
Oh
That
yes,
was the
that's
name.
that's a
Ken
very
Hope,
good,
yeah.
very
On the
good
Wing.
rip
Yeah.
off of Animal Farm.
Pigs on the Wing by this synced up to Wizard of Oz. Now that'll show you some truth.
Wait, are you talking about the Pink Floyd?
You would have to
Dark
take
Side
Amy
of the
to
Moon.
EMT.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Dark
you're
Side
supposed
of
to
the Moon.
start the
EMT.
album right as the
Yeah, the
MGM
Lion
Lion roars.
Yeah.
And then dude, I've
Pretty
never
cool.
done it, but I've wanted to. Have
It's
you done it?
pretty It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It is. It's been a long
No,
time.
I believe you.
Wait, what
I've
are you
never
supposed to?
done
What
it.
are you supposed to do with it?
The Pink
turn the volume
Pink
up
Floyd's
a little
Dark Side of the Moon album.
Yes.
You're supposed to just let the album play. But right as when you start the movie The Wizard of Oz, obviously the original, and right as the MGM Lion roars, you start the album and you let it play, and it's supposed to like
It does.
sync
I
up
heard they
right
played
up,
it at
and
the
it's
shows
supposed to be
sometimes.
weird as fuck.
Yeah, you turn the volume up on the movie. Of course.
In like the background, I heard they had like it playing in the background at a show or two.
Yeah,
Wait,
you-
how could they?
it's
The
cool.
Wizard of Oz came out in 1939.
Yeah, they
My
could
dad-
have.
Way
Pink
before
Floyd.
Pink Floyd. Oh, okay. No, I got what you mean.
I mean,
My dad said that the Wizard of
That would've
Oz
been
was
awesome,
communist
though, huh?
propaganda.
That might be a good live stream, by the way, if you can get away with playing the
It was
music.
like communist brainwashing. It was like supposed to hypnotize
Yeah.
you into
Yeah.
accepting
Ken
communism or
Hovind-
something.
Ken Hovind has said this before, that the Wizard of Oz is some sort of propaganda about America being taken off the gold standard. Something about like
What?
following the yellow brick road and all this stuff.
So if it's communist propaganda, why did they call it "Follow the Red Brick Road"? I mean, come on
Well,
now.
it's
It's
about
gimmick,
gold,
that
like
obvious, Leo. Come on.
Oz, OZ, ounces. Think about it.
I don't get it.
Actually, if you
Gold is-
think about it, there was a dog, so actually, it's really trying to support Dogecoin. It's all. If you
Gold is
think-
priced by the troy ounce.
See, it all makes sense.
Dogecoin to the moon and
It's
beyond.
Amy, where's SpongeBob?
Dogecoin.
Do you have SpongeBob? Where's SpongeBob?
I wanted to see.
You have a doggy coin.
Dogecoin is my favorite cryptocurrency. I have a top 5 list.
I was thinking about buying some tonight, actually.
I thought that was funny when they asked Ken Hovind to whip out SpongeBob.
I know someone actually super chatted it.
I wouldn't
Cryptocurrency is
dare give anybody
unethical.
advice on when to buy or sell Dogecoin.
You guys
I
think it's
hold
on the
much,
low?
but
I have
I like
some
it a lot.
Dogecoin.
Is
When
that
are we gonna
30?
have
It sounds like you
Hovind
guys are saying douche coin.
No, that's a
Huge.
different cryptocurrency, but nobody cares about it.
That's called Dogecoin. Is what Bitcoin is. That's end of story. So,
No, there is
I don't-
actually
I don't-
cryptocurrency called Dogecoin.
So are you serious?
Yeah,
No,
it's it's garbage, but it's out there.
I don't
Sounds
pay
douchey.
attention to
I
like
mean, but my
cryptocurrencies.
point is, we already have like
Yeah,
the prime douche coin. That's what Bitcoin is,
I thought
because
that
Elon Musk bros are douchebags. End of story.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah, Elon Musk just needs to be like hurled into the sun.
Dogecoin's at 32 cents right now.
Did you see the
you're
meme
talking
where?
American
I hope he
Or
sends
about-
him.
Do you see the meme about Jeff Bezos going into space? And it's like you're forever, right? Like
I just
I
want to
like,
send
I like the
flat
new
earthers.
Attack of the Clones meme with Natalie Portman and Kristen Hagenson. I love those memes. If you guys know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
dude.
Her face in the second page. Oh my god.
That guy
They'll
can.
launch Bezos into space until the aliens get his body and bring him back to life.
I hope both Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos send themselves into space and do it terribly wrong and fall into the fucking sun.
I'm
But
waiting to see
but
what happens when
Messiah-
Bezos
Messiah.
goes into space. If we're lucky, maybe the rocket will explode.
Yeah, that'd be
Guessing-
why do you
great.
guys
And
hate
then,
job
and then
creators
maybe
so
his
much?
ex-wife will be able to get like the company, and that would just be great.
Why do you hate Elon so much, Amaretto? What's wrong with Elon?
Oh no,
What did he do to you?
Jeff
Just a douche.
Bezos. I hate Jeff Bezos with a passion.
Mr. Evil? Or Dr.
Lex Luthor.
No, I mean, well, I still would say those are all better analogies for Elon than Jeff Bezos. No, I hate Jeff
Why?
Bezos because why? Because I feel like like Elon is more akin to those characters. Jeff Bezos just basically got rich off of a trust fund and having a decent idea, but now basically uses the state and federal governments to supplement his workers. Same as Walmart. He basically uses our tax dollars to supplement his shit wages and shit treatment of employees and dodging corporate tax laws. So
I thought he buckled to the $15 an hour.
Yeah,
those jobs,
and then they cut
the way
hours.
that they yes, and the way
Amy,
that those
pull
jobs
the road
are
back. Pull the road back.
more than
yeah,
they should be paying more than $25 an hour. The way that
I
they treat their
always-
employees.
You mean
Getting way off topic.
we're getting into politics. I feel
Yeah.
I feel like my Loki's been on my mind. We're going into
I mean,
another.
You can only say
universe.
how stupid the idea of the Ark is in so many ways. Like,
That is
I mean,
true.
listen.
Every language.
Listen, if Elon Musk tried to build the Ark, I would have a great laugh. But then there is that.
I would
hope
say
that-
wait.
What if Noah was
killing
like
the world
Elon
with
Musk, and like the Ark was a spaceship in the sky with just like DNA?
No, it's an alien. Yeah.
I too like
the evidence
doing
for that?
DMTP Mars.
Terrible.
so are you
Yeah.
saying?
The elves for me.
Are you
Wait,
saying that
there
Noah
isn't-
was on a different planet than Earth originally, and he came to Earth after that planet was flooded?
Yeah,
I mean,
read the
listen,
Book of
as-
Mormon. Read the
That
Book
would
of
make
Mormon.
sense.
We know
Listen,
where the
I
Ark is
do,
right
as
now.
a sci-fi fiend, I do like that premise. I mean, listen, it would be neat, wouldn't it? But, at the end of the day, we also have to keep in mind, you can have these theories and ideas, we still have to be able to.
But you're a Scientologist, though.
I think we have that in real life now. There's like
Scientologist, oh my god.
I know
There's
it's
like
like right now.
there's an Ark in the International Space Station. They're keeping DNA there or something in case there's like a
Yeah, I know where Noah's.
catastrophe.
I think
It's underground.
That's
What you're talking about is
the
yeah,
seed bank.
yeah.
They have
I think they
seeds.
want to put one on the moon, though. They want to put
That-
like a genetic lab on the moon.
A gene
They
bank.
would,
Yeah,
That would be
like
a
a
good
gene
idea.
bank on the moon.
years,
Yeah,
but
it would be.
There's a lot of stuff that we actually need to put on the moon. A massive radio telescope is one of them.
I too
yeah,
like
dude.
Nier
That
Automata
would be
and
cool.
putting things on the moon. Like,
And I'm talking on the backside, like the dark side of the moon. Put
Oh
a
my
super powerful radio telescope.
Like an
Holy
amusement
Can I just
park?
say the girl from that game is hot?
Wait, what? Hold on, what?
who's playing
Wait,
Penguin?
what?
I think we know where the Ark is.
I'm so confused.
Is that you, Ned?
Nier Automatica, Leo.
No
What?
idea what that is.
I'm pretty sure that's. Well, I made a reference to Nier Automatica, and then isn't that what somebody was saying? I'd let that
Yeah,
girl is
that's
hot.
what I was referring to.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I have no
Is she
idea
a
what that
robot?
is. But okay.
Oh
There's
my
one.
Google
There's
it.
one video game I know well, and it's a computer game, and it's called RuneScape. And if you don't play it, you're just a fucking. You're a skid. You're a fucking skid.
The only
Okay,
Melvin.
computer game I play is Doom,
Ooh.
sir.
Does RuneScape still exist?
Fuck yeah, it
Yeah.
does.
The
Better
original
get your ass
RuneScape
back
still
on.
exists. 2007
Okay,
Scape.
okay, bro. It's okay. You can feel that way, but us people of culture are going to be going and playing Guilty Gear and other things shortly.
Whatever,
so.
Melvin.
First time I
Whatever.
encountered RuneScape, I thought it was called Run Escape.
Run Escape. Oh yeah.
Kind of makes sense.
Run Escape. From old computers, we had escape keys and we had a run key on the Commodore
Yep.
64. Run stuff, actually. I thought, Run Escape.
I don't know,
That's
Leo. Are you hardcore enough of a gamer to be able to play ranked while you also be on this stream? Because I am right now.
I could.
wonder-
Well, normally I would be PKing on RuneScape, but I blocked out of my actual account, and I have a noob account that I don't have membership on, so I can't really actually do any quality PKing, which is player
my
killing.
gosh.
It's where you go kill other players in the game in proper
Leo,
designated
so-
areas. And it's
it
fun.
sounds
If you
like
had-
it
I
sounds
wonder-
like Leo's just trying to escape from Tarkov here.
I don't know what that means.
If you had 100 years to prepare for a coming flood, and you were 600 years old, and you knew you'd probably live to like 900, and you know the
Would you
world's
too
gonna
not
flood.
exploit people?
Escape
Well,
from
how-
Tarkov.
how do you-
Interrock keeps
How would you go about doing building an ark, or would you what would you do to survive this coming flood?
Are there any other constraints on the hypothetical? Like, what resources do I have available to me? How many people do I have helping me? Like,
Can I just sit around and be depressed about it?
Well, considering they just make
like
everything
100
up as they go, you can have whatever you want.
All right, so I would just build a massive fucking cruise ship sized ass fucking big ass stainless steel boat or something like that, and yeah,
Shaped like
just
a
float.
dildo.
Do you think you could develop the technology to do that in 100 years?
Fucking A, well, we already have the
Okay.
technology to do it.
Can we try and figure out how to
I
kill
also have
God?
magic.
You would know everything. I would
Yeah.
build a tower. Actually, is what I would do.
They did
I don't know if I
that.
would do that.
Yeah, but that was after. But if I knew the Earth was going to flood up to a certain height, I would just build. I think that it might actually be easier to build some kind of a tower than to build a boat.
He was told to
I don't
build
know.
There's a message in the story.
Depends on if there's movement in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Can I point out some facts about it?
Water, Leo.
Water.
oh goodness.
Yeah, I don't know. Or maybe I would build like a series of interconnected boats instead of one massive boat. I would build boats that are tied together.
Like a bunch of little rafts.
I don't know if I would
Yeah.
want to do that.
Like
I don't know if that would.
You don't exercise faith, and so you don't understand why that doesn't work.
Yeah. Huh?
He exercised faith in what God told him to do. And I'll have you. And by the way, the ratio is the same ratio we used on vessels today to the best ability. And we found the Ark. We know where it is.
No, we haven't.
Haven't found the Ark. What?
There's two claims there.
That's like
First of
saying
all-
we found DB Cooper's like stolen treasure, from the airplane in my
We found
fucking
a couple of
backyard.
the dollars, yeah.
It's also not the length and width. The length times the width of the Ark is not what anybody's questioning of whether it would work or not. First, and also the original story, it was a round vessel anyway, but that's beside the point.
No. That's not necessarily the original story.
Yeah,
Just,
it is, but
the
that's
Bible. Yeah,
beside the point.
they have a story that's older. They think is older written down. I tend to believe that that's the case, but that doesn't mean it was copied from that story. It just means it was a known story.
Okay. Well, you can choose to believe that the story that was written down over 1,000 years later is the original. That's fine. But it's beside the point.
Well,
Amaretto, is that
the
you
thing is,
vigorously
the dimensions
Yes.
of the Ark were never a problem. Second of all, where have we found the Ark? Most of the pictures that Kent Hovind was showing were from different sites. So which Ark are you talking about?
Dupernar.
Dupernar, is that the one in Turkey?
Yeah, it's the one in the one with the drogue stones.
Is that the one Tangelo and some other dude were talking about?
That's BS. I think that's BS.
That one's BS. This other one's true.
Well, all the ones that are the ones that people claim always end up being
fake news.
Fake news, exactly.
Or just giant rocks.
Well, the idea is they make wood, and there's just not that. There wouldn't be that much left of it after that long. I mean, Josephus even said that they knew where the Ark was in that time, and they would take pieces of what was left of it, of the bitumen or whatever, and he wrote about it. Byzantines seem to think the same site was the Ark because
Josephus wrote about it. You said?
Yeah, he said they knew where the Ark was, basically in Turkey. Yeah, and that the people would go and.
Wait, you got citations for that?
It would have been. At the moment, look it up. You'll find it quickly.
I know quite a bit about what Josephus wrote. I've never heard anything like that.
That would have been about 2,000 and something years later.
I don't know exactly how long it would be. Yeah, something like that. But I can tell you the quote is something like this. We know where the Ark is today in the area that we call now Turkey. I don't know what he calls it, but it's what would be the site in Turkey, and in the mountains of Ararat. And he says that the people visit there and they take pieces of the bitumen and make amulets from it. And he basically says we know where it is.
I graduated from high school.
And the Byzantines seem to think this site was also the Ark because they seem to have visited it in the early Christian period, and they chiseled their crosses on some of the drogue stones that are dropped leading up to the site where the Ark landed, and they chiseled, oftentimes on many of the rocks in a Byzantine style cross, they would chisel two large Byzantine crosses and then 6 little crosses, which is an obvious reference to Noah and his wife and the 3 sons and wives. So they seem to think this site was the same one he did too. And it's the right.
Is there any
length.
wood left there now?
Apparently they found some pieces of some wood and rivets, but it's mainly the size and shape of the
Rivets.
The base. Yeah, rivets.
They had rivets.
Maybe.
How did they make the rivets?
They probably, like in the Bible says, Tubal Cain was an artificer of brass or whatever. They probably had metals that they, it appears that the supposed rivets, which I'm not totally convinced of, but there's some evidence that there's rivets at that site, like some kind of like they heat it up, and then set it up.
There's iron rivets. Yeah.
How would they have heated them up?
Iron rivets, brass.
I don't know, dude. I don't know.
Like to melt the iron to cast it.
I'm not sure.
I don't think we knew how to do that back then. By the way, I posted in the YouTube live chat an article from National Geographic. No, we have not found the Ark in Turkey.
It's controversial. Yep.
You know where I would like to know. Going past the Ark, I would like to know where the Garden of Eden is, because shouldn't that still be somewhere with an angel guarding it?
Actually, there is a place that's reputed to be the Garden of Eden that's now underwater off the coast of Saudi Arabia.
There's lots of.
Is there an angel there with a flaming sword still?
No, there's not.
So my thing is, even if I believed that the Ark was plausible, as soon as they landed and there's like all the trees are gone, right? Don't you think they would have reused the wood from the Ark?
Yeah, people posit that, but apparently they didn't, or if they did, they didn't, because all that's left is really, if that is the site, which I think it is, but there's almost nothing left. It's buried. It's basically like a rotten bottom that's come down a mudslide down where it probably first landed, and then you can see spots where it stopped in a mud flow, and then left an imprint there, and then flowed down farther, and then left an imprint there, and then so on and so forth.
Where's the data for this?
I've never heard any of. I would think that would be.
Show you if you want.
Yeah, maybe.
Sure. I really hope the record.
I've never heard any of that, and I would think that if that sort of thing was found, that a lot of these other people sort of been saying it, but. I'm not saying you're lying.
Not that this proves anything, but the government of Turkey did declare that their archaeologists did declare that they think it's the Ark, and they built a crappy visitor center there with government money. And
sure.
Well, the team of archaeologists that claim they found it did that, yeah.
I mean, of course the government of Turkey is going to want to claim they have the Ark there. It's going to bring in tourists. And
exactly.
I don't expect you to believe it. I'm just saying there is some evidence for it. You can.
So let's go back to what you said earlier. You said they have found the Ark. So now is the claim that there is a site that.
It's my opinion.
Okay, so you believe that this site is the Ark, but. When you said they have found the Ark, it made it sound like it was like a confirmed thing.
Right.
Now it's sounding more like there's a site that some people believe is the Ark.
Yeah, right. I was just being fantastical or whatever, just to get your attention. But I do think it is
hyperbolic.
Actually. I'm being honest, yeah, hyperbolic. I wouldn't expect you to believe all the evidences that I think are good, but I mean, it is interesting that they found these what they call drogue stones, that seem to be leading up. In a picture in the surrounding mountainous area there, it's kind of like a big cove within the mountains, and where you could imagine how the Ark was, as the waters went away, how it drifted into this kind of cove of mountainous areas. And it's interesting how there's like volcanic rock that's all like the exact same height all the way around in this this region, and it seems like it must like the lava flowed, and there's just like a flat. Like it all got water cooled or something at the same height as it was lowering, or what the water, because it's all like the exact same height all the way around this like giant cove looking structure, like if you were to look at it from up above, and leading into this cove, where it would have kind of likely, as the water's lowered, it would have settled there, and it makes sense how that could happen. And then along that path into that cove area where it finally likely landed up higher. Before it came down the mountain, kind of over the centuries, they find these things dropped in the valley there, leading up to where the site is, and they're big, huge rocks, okay, with holes drilled in the top, through the top of these stones, that's in the same. They look just like the holes they drill in like what you see in Galilee, like the anchors when they drill a hole through a rock to use it as an anchor. They kind of have like a larger opening on the side, and then it goes a little bit. It kind of rounds in and shrinks down, and then comes back out the other side. And so a rope could go through there, and you could tie a knot and it wouldn't go through, right? So you could drag. These were like they figure stability helps the stability from the ark from tipping over, and then you would like cut them loose as the water came down, and that's what you see. They're dotted through this valley, and then like I said, the Byzantines probably came through because they believed it was the ark site, and they chiseled the Byzantine crosses on them in that period. So that's the evidence.
I just wanted to say really quickly that I have a 2020 article here from the Institute for Creation Research. I'll post that in the YouTube live chat.
Yeah, I'm aware
where they say they don't think the Ark has been found. Also, I have an article here from
and if anybody would want it to
Boston.com
be true,
where an archaeologist says that the Ark has not been found. And also in the Rutledge, or rather the Oxford Companion to Archaeology, there is an entry by Kenneth Fader, Brian Fagan, other authors, Beck, Charlotte, Michaels, George, Scar, Chris Silberman, where they say that this is nothing but pseudoscience, that the Ark has not been found by anybody at any time.
It's like science. They have there's politics and.
Well, this has nothing to do with politics. This is relevant authorities.
Now the creationists do good science. Okay.
Wait, what? Excuse me?
You're also dismissing a creationist organization. So.
Real scientists wouldn't even care about this fake story, anyways, would they? You think Christians you're talking about? I thought you were talking about people from Creation. You said something about Creation Institute. I've read the reasons why the other big creation institute, some of them don't buy the story, and I find it not convincing. I think it's the evidence stands on its own, and
that was the first source that I had cited. The second one was the Oxford Companion to Archaeology, and an entry that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different authors, all of them professionals in the field of archaeology, who say that this is pseudoscience.
Good for you. Good for them.
Also, you said that the Ark was the most, was stable on its own. Why did it need the stones to keep it from tipping over?
No, I didn't say it was stable on its own. I said it's the same ratio of width and height to its length that we build modern ships today to be stable.
Of course, but modern ships aren't made from wood.
Right.
Yeah.
And by the way, a lot of people that work in drilling fields are creationists. So
sure,
I don't know what that means. Plus, I would need to see data on that.
I was talking about geologists that work discovering oil, not people that get it out of the ground.
No, I'm saying the people that are involved with drilling have lots of stories that are kind of interesting, and there's some really big anomalies up in the northern areas. I feel
like this is purely anecdotal.
There's no good explanation for how there's all these tropical plants and frozen warm blooded animals up in the northern regions of the earth. How did that happen?
No, there are very, very good reasons.
Yeah, like tectonic movement in the movement of continents. It's the same reason why
we understand this very well.
Along the eastern coast of Africa and the western coast of South America, we can find similar fossils from when those
not
two
only
continents
similar fossils,
were
similar
collected.
living things.
Exactly.
No, they find tropical leaves frozen. This happened very quickly.
Yeah, of course, there are tropical leaves frozen in numerous areas across the earth because of the changing climate, shifting of continents. This is understood.
Look, if you find heavy ice bearing over tropical plants, that's something anomalous.
No, well, I've never heard of that.
Initially,
I'm just gonna call that bullshit.
Initially, that would be an anomaly, but when we consider the way that continents move and the way that Earth's climate has changed, this no longer is anomalous. We have good mechanisms that can explain why we make these observations.
Yeah, it's like the clams on Mount Everest. It seemed anomalous at first, but once they discovered, tectonic plates, we realized that the seafloor gets subducted and pushed up and can, turn into
Right,
mountains,
sure,
and then
sure,
that explained it.
No erosion over hundreds of millions of years on the tops of that mountain?
No, the erosion is happening. The erosion just isn't faster than the uplift.
Exactly.
What do you mean? Why wouldn't it be eroding as it's uplifting?
It is, but
it's uplifting faster than it's eroding.
The Himalayas are growing in height faster than elements can wear them back
I
down.
don't think you understand the argument I was making earlier. There's always happening erosion to the top of the layer of the surface of the Earth.
No, there's not. Not everywhere. There's deposition happening in some places too.
You don't think every area could go for hundreds of millions of years without suffering any erosion on the top layer? That's
The problem.
No, I
you
didn't
seem,
say
you
that.
seem to think that changes in the structure of the very surface areas of the surface level of Earth's crust, just maybe a few feet down, are affected by purely erosion. That's not the case. Tectonic activity and the movement of continents has a lot to do with this process as well.
I understand the
volcanoes
of trying to account for it, right? But if you have pockets of deposition that are happening look, everything looks like it's eroding now when we measure it today. At least at some level. Yes.
No, there are areas that are actively going through deposition.
Yeah, deposition.
So I don't see what's your point. I don't get this point at all.
Because when you look at the Grand Canyon, are the layers bumpy?
What do you mean by bumpy?
Layers. If you want to appeal to like deposition and it being really random as far as it would all be.
We have eroded layers in the Grand Canyon. Sometimes you can actually look at the layers in the Grand Canyon and see, it was being deposited up until this point, and then it went through a period of erosion. Then there was deposition. Then there was an erosion. This is what happens.
You understand that the layers are often very granulated and different have granulated size in it and are different like material. It's not like a slow change. So you're saying like millions of years.
This is stratigraphy.
A different kind of material, and then it was just that for millions of years, and then another that kind of material. That's absurd. And if you don't
the desert is going to have
processes work.
Yeah,
this is stratigraphy. It's a well understood subject.
Yeah, the creationists invented it.
No, they didn't.
Yes, it did.
Wait, no, it was creationists that actually the first geologists actually were creationists, but they pretty realized that the Earth could not be very young.
Charles Lyell wasn't a creationist.
Lyell didn't invent stratigraphy. Look it up.
He invented the geologic column.
Yeah, I know, but look, that was all based on uniformitarianism.
Stratigraphy.
That's the point that they base it off of uniformitarianism, and I'm saying.
What do you mean when you say uniformitarianism?
What we measure today, you extrapolate to the past. You look at erosion rates and stuff like that. That's why I appealed to the idea. Look, if the Himalayas are rising faster, I don't think you're understanding what I'm saying here. If you have the rate things erode, even at the slowest rates, you would have the geologic column or just the whole continent above sea level would erode like literally 10 times over from the slowest rate. And so if you have uplift, the top is being eaten away and it's flowing down the hill into the ocean or whatever. Or
you're assuming you start with a fully formed continent and then it starts eroding.
I'm saying
you realize there are processes building these things at the same time as erosion is happening.
I'm not
Jamie,
doubting that there's uplift in erosion.
Jamie, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
If you found out that you were mistaken about this, would it change your belief in a God at all?
No, but I know I'm not incorrect. I've gotten this from geologists, PhD geologists.
This is such a dumb argument, though. It's really stupid. Like I'm sorry, but I just don't understand how this.
I don't think you get what I'm saying because you haven't really.
No, because it doesn't make sense.
I'm not doubting uplift or deposition. I'm saying as it uplifted and erosion occurred, the top would be getting eaten down and it would be pushing up from the bottom, which would be taking out a geologic column.
Not in all instances.
You realize the geologic column is not something that exists in any one place, right?
We all just know that this is kind of a crapshoot as far as time. You can't be sure about that. They know.
What do you mean by geologic column?
The layers of strata.
How did the layers get there?
Okay, so we do see that though, right? We see it being the top layers being eroded. In some places. In other places, we see more layers being eroded. I don't see why this is an issue at all.
Because with the proposed time scales, when you have a 1 millimeter every 1,000 years, do the math. Well, how many millimeters that is after 100 million years?
Well, you seem to think that all exposed land erodes and does nothing else. That's not the case. Deposition, which is material being deposited back on top, that's how certain layers get built. That's why there's layers in Earth's crust, because material is deposited on top of other materials, and it layers.
Deposited back on. I'm saying that would destroy the fossils, because the lower you go,
If it destroyed the fossils, we wouldn't be finding the fossils.
Yeah, the Earth's crust, all of these processes result in something called isostatic equilibrium. They're not, one process isn't going to overtake the others. When you have tectonic activity and you have stuff like volcanoes creating new rock, as well as limestone being produced.
Right.
And it's not like there is no place on Earth where you're going to find the entire geologic column, right? That's not a thing. But we can match it up from different locations. So I don't see how this is an issue at all. We know how this works.
Norfolk Iseni, I'm assuming, asks a really good question in chat. Where do you think all the erosion material goes? Hello? Can everybody hear me?
I can hear you. I don't know if Jamie.
Yes, we may have DC'd, which completely understand.
Yeah.
But that's okay, because I would say I was waiting for the conversation to come to a natural end, because we were actually on topic. Having fun talking about
it's the same as Hoven's salt argument about the oceans. Oh, the oceans couldn't have this little amount of salt because the rivers are depositing salt in the oceans all the time, and so over millions but it ignores all the processes that remove salt from the ocean.
Filtering processes, it's everything.
But I think what he's trying to get at is that, like, if you do have uplift and then things are eroding, eventually you'll get you are losing material, but that's only in that one area. And I don't know what is the oldest sedimentary rock that we've found.
I don't know about the oldest sedimentary rock, but I know the oldest rock that we found is 3.6 billion years old, or 3.8 billion years old, something like that.
Right. Because that's the thing is, I think what he's trying to get at is that, if erosion, if rocks are getting eroded, eventually you'll end up going to running out of old rock to be exposed. I don't know, but it's still.
Iswa sequence, the oldest known sedimentary rocks on Earth, comprised a 3.8 billion year old Iswa sequence of southwestern Greenland.
Right.
Oh, but accelerated nuclear decay. So obviously our aging methods are off, even though they can't. Every creationist that's ever made that statement, I walked them through the logic behind the particular constants that we know exist in electroweak theory that give rise to the process of radioisotope decay, and ask them how they know those are wrong or how they know those deviate to allow for a variance in the decay rates of various isotopes, and why we can't observe this in reality. And I've never gotten an answer.
Yeah, and then there's one of the many heat problems of accelerated radioactive decay. But the one thing they go to sometimes is, it would have been made fully formed, fully mature, so it had the appearance of age. Because Adam was probably formed with a full beard. It's
15 foot long. Yeah.
See, this is the weird thing. If we could go back to the Earth just before God created all the life on it and watch that life get created, what would we see? Would we see everything spontaneously pop into existence and the earth is suddenly green and covered
out
with
of nothing,
life?
yeah.
Or would it be a slow like phase in where you can slowly see it start to phase in? Would it pop in piece by piece? What would we see? And when you ask this question, what you fundamentally arrive at is that they have absolutely no mechanism whatsoever about how any of this happened. It's nothing but a baseless assertion, fundamentally rooted ultimately in magic, and it just lays bare how ridiculous this idea of creationism is.
I think Answers in Genesis had a video where they showed all the animals forming out of a tornado. They did a whole movie.
And okay, guys, we are going to be switching into outros. I want to send one more. Well, I want to send one more shout out because Nate's channel now only needs Crash the Party. Boom, 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 boom. Only needs 8 more subs to get that sweet 100. Want to get that awesome name up there in the title? You can help him get it right now. And we're sending all the love to the non-believer content creators out there. We're helping create a community, having fun. Though we love our theists in chat with us, we love everybody. But we are moving.
It's getting late here, so I'm gonna just take off now. I don't need an outro. I'm gonna head to bed, guys. Thanks for having me on, Amy. Much love as always.
Good night, Leo.
Good night, Leo.
Be well,
Have
everybody.
a good night. And all right. That being
Come back
said,
anytime.
bring it
Call
in
first.
the mimes. That's right. Calling down. Woohoo! All right, everybody. It has been fun. We have been talking about can the Ark work? We're going to make it float, baby. We're handing it in opposite order. Blaster Master. We've been
Master
having
Blaster.
fun. Master Blaster. Exactly. I hope you had a good time. Where can people find you, and what are your final thoughts?
I'm just around. You can find me on YouTube here under this name, under Blastmaster 80. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm also tired, so I'll be looking forward to a good night's sleep here. I think Kent Hovind's really sad and pathetic, and I'd like to think that his fan club is getting smaller, but I don't know. He still has like a compound with. It's scary to me. Like I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah,
Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
like I said, yeah, man, don't go
When he
drink
brings it
the
out.
Kool-Aid. Exactly. And yeah, I don't think the Ark is anything that ever really happened. I mean, it's a nice metaphor, I guess. Well, it's a terrible metaphor for a god killing everyone.
But hey, at least it didn't really happen, right?
Yeah. I guess we can take comfort in that it didn't really happen.
Woohoo! Thank you
All right,
so
I'm done.
much, very much, Blaster Master. And yes, I agree. I think it's a good thing that everyone on Earth didn't drown. Yeah, gotta think of the positives.
Can you imagine if that god did exist? That'd suck.
Well, I tried to convey that to Saul, and I think that disturbed him. I think he had to almost do a podcast on it, which was like, if I thought the Christian God was real, I would believe in him, but I would be on the other side. So,
Oh, you should have him on here sometime and talk about it.
Sal or the devil?
Yeah, Saul.
Okay, we've had Sal on here a few times, but we haven't had him post being kind of disturbed. I also will say they call every once in a while I get called relating to the Joker, which I consider a compliment. A little Joker vibe. do. But okay, thank you so very much, Blaster Master.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, man.
And we are moving down Amaretto, the lunar goddess.
Oh,
she's
back.
on. We have been having fun asking ourselves, could the Ark work? I don't think that we've sold a lot of minds today, but I hope you had a good time. Where can people find you? I know, exactly. And what are your final thoughts?
Yeah, so you can see me doing my social justice raging at Amaretta Kitten on Twitter. And if you want to come play League of Legends with me, you can find me on that platform as well. I say as I'm playing ranked. Other than that, like, listen, I'm someone who believes in fairies and the paranormal and ghosts. And even I say, like, what the... I find this to be likely more of a... like Aesop's Fables, like a fictional story, and I find it hard to believe that any creator being would completely trash their creation. I can speak as an artist that it's really hard to even do that. So, thinking, if I was a creator being, I wouldn't want to completely trash most of like my creation because I was unhappy, or for whatever stupid reason you can come up with. So that's just kind of like my thoughts on it. I think Ken Hovind is a grifter, and I think it's quite a shame that we give him any precedence at all, or rather that there's anybody that does. And that's just kind of like my opinion on it. So it's good seeing everybody as always.
So. Good having you on as always. And thank you so very much, Amaretto. And all right, we're moving down. Jamie, we have been... Exactly. Welcome back. I always say, generally speaking, James and I say we get summoned by the devil. I don't think that's what you have in mind when you DC. But that being said...
by Ellen White.
I hope you had a good time tonight. Where can people find you, and what are your final thoughts?
I'm going to start a channel, but I haven't yet. But thanks for letting me come on your show. And I just think it's fun to talk about, and I get excited sometimes. So sorry for calling you an asshole, Marshall.
Hey, you're all good, man. I don't think I even heard it. Sorry if I said... I know I said your idea was stupid. I'm sorry if it came across saying you were stupid.
Fine. No, that's fine. I get it. I think it was something like, that's BS or whatever. And I was like, I'm just reporting what I've seen. I don't claim to be a scientist or whatever. I'm interested in the subject. I do listen to both sides. I feel like I like to see the other side have the best arguments. And so when I don't see that they're engaging with some of the more with some of the better material that we have out there, I'm a little disappointed because I like the challenge, and just it did sound kind of incredulous to me a little bit, just because you're not engaging with the better arguments that I'm aware of, I guess. Not really aware of, but I mean, I know that I've heard at least. So I just want to encourage you to look into it a little bit more from the better resources. Like, you could look at some of the colleges from the universities of the Adventist Church and the papers that they have, or you could look at some of the papers that are being published by the actual accredited scientists, like at CMI or wherever, and then just try to maybe critique that. But thanks a lot for having me, and have a blessed week.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much, Jamie, and thank you.
We need a Christian on once in a while. There has to be a token Christian and someone to push back.
Well, like I said with James often, I think we are actually kind of addicted to opinions that don't agree with ours. It's almost like intellectual cocaine. Yeah, exactly. And so thank you so very much, Jamie. And also send in love. Thank you so very much, Best in Show. Yeah,
thank you, Best in Show.
That's okay. And everyone in chat, but we are moving along. Randolph. I hope you had fun tonight. We've been talking about making the Ark work, or could it even work to begin with? What are your thoughts, or where can people find you, and what are your final thoughts?
Make the Ark great again.
Oh, I may have to jazz hands.
With us, yeah.
I'm going to jazz hands, and we're going to come back to Randolph. It's because, once again, Some of us non-believers and heathens get summoned by Satan to sell timeshares, specifically timeshares, but it happens to us all. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to inmate 06452's love child or boy toy. We've been having fun tonight. I
would
hope
love to be
you
Kent's
have
boy
been.
toy in jail.
Woohoo! That's right. He calls me SpongeBob in jail. We have been
SpongeBob
trying
no pants.
to figure. Oh my god!
Oh
Now
my
I can
God.
picture it.
Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? Sounds kind of free to me.
Oh my! And where can people find you? And what are your final thoughts of the night?
You can find him in Ken Hovind's cell, probably.
Yeah,
Oh my!
right. I just changed the name on my YouTube to Monkey for Truth, or no, I mean Monkey for Banana. I'm not sure if I'm gonna stick with that username or not. But I haven't really uploaded much content anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, it's a fun. I mean, it's essentially the same as trying to figure out, how well, any story from mythology, right? I mean, we could sit here and talk all day about how exactly an 8-legged horse would be birthed from a stallion that belongs to a giant having sex with Loki in the form of a mare. It's the same kind of thing. And like I said, a lot of it is clearly meant to explain certain things, but I actually prefer the original story better. The one from the Epic of Gilgamesh or Atrahasis. In that version, people weren't sinful, which Jamie did say that the people were sinful, so that, they were evil, so they needed to die. I'm just curious, were the babies also evil? And what about the unborn What about the unborn babies?
According to the Bible, yes.
Okay. Well, I prefer the original version. The people were just making too damn much racket, and the gods just kind of got annoyed, and so they decided to flood everything, and then Utnapishtim survived in a coracle, a round reed vessel. Well, I mean, we do actually have some good reason to think there may have been a fairly large flood in the region around the time that many of these stories originated. And then there are other flood myths around the world with different motifs and origins, but a lot of that has to do with people live near rivers and they flood sometimes, and people talk about what happens. And water is a very magical thing for a lot of different people. So the idea of a water flood, being a part of a creation myth is not that unusual thing to think about. It's fun to talk about, but there's just so much wrong with the story when you try to take the entire thing literal. And I think Christians are doing themselves a disservice by attempting to do that, because for a lot of people, once they find out one part of their religion is bullshit, it leads them to start questioning other parts. So the less bullshit you can throw in there, and still, you can come up with ways to make it metaphorical, and then at least you don't have to deny, the actual reality of, the way things work, or on any, at least not that much. I'm sure there are other problems with it, but that's beside the point. And I really wish people would stop trying to get religion taught in schools as science. And that's mainly the reason I put so much effort into, trying to fight against these ideas, is to, because people are actually trying to get it taught as science, and that's just not good.
I have Hank Hill's voice when you just said that. Not good. That wasn't Hank Hill's voice.
That boy ain't right.
There you go. And thank you so very much.
Did you know there are people that scoff at the Bible?
Can you imagine that? Thank you so very much, inmate 06452's wifey. I do hope that your husband eventually pays taxes. It'll happen.
Well, I hope he doesn't pay taxes, because then maybe he'll end up back in here with me. I kind of miss him.
Oh, see? It's a love story, folks. And thank you so very much. And all right, thank you so very much, Marshall. We're moving down. We've had an exciting day. We've actually had 3 different theists. We've been topping out on our theists in the night with all different views.
Oh, and I had one more thing. Oh, never mind.
No, this is your time, now or never.
I was just going to say, Standing for Truth was in the chat earlier. I don't know if he's still there. He probably isn't. But he said that I should link the debate so that I could show them how he refuted all my straw man arguments. And I'm just curious why he didn't point out any time I was using a straw man during the actual debate. Because I would have, if I had known I was doing that, I would have revised my argument. But I don't recall him telling me I was using one then. So.
Oh snap! The punches are flying. I did see stand-ins throwing love for him in chat, and
he was in chat.
Stand-in for truth. He
standing for truth
to
in
pop
our
on
chat.
next time. But okay, thank you so very much, and that's right.
Strangling the truth.
Marshall or Kent's boy toy over here has been debating Standing for Truth. So go, what was the debate topic?
It was common ancestry versus special creation. I will say the debate, I felt like I could have done better, but it was well moderated. There weren't personal attacks. It was a pretty pleasant, cordial debate. As far as just the behavior of him and I. Praise moderated it on Standing's channel, and I will give him props for it wasn't like it wasn't a shit show like some other debates can be.
That sounds good. In fact, I will say, as much as I make fun of Gavin, and we do make fun of all the stuff, and we'll continue to probably, but we love him, and I'll debate Gavin or any of those guys. So I'll come on their channels too, or come on here.
So what do you think of my thing about making Monkey for Banana my new YouTube channel?
Monkey for Banana,
just not on the sheets.
That's because that's Guts at Gibbons' nickname for Standing for Truth.
You have to link it to me so I can find it. I have Marshall Efron in here.
Well, it's the same channel. I just renamed it.
I'm gonna go like this. Well, I'm just gonna find your link eventually, and then.
But then I'm wondering.
For everyone.
Of course, it's probably already too late, but I basically doxed myself by using that YouTube account because that's
Don't worry, Kent would have doxed you anyway.
Right. But I don't know. I think people who are over concerned about doxing are, well, I shouldn't.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's like people can have legitimate concerns about it, but
yeah, it is actually dangerous.
Fuck off. We don't promote it. We don't promote
doxing.
I mean, I don't think it's hard to
except for
you don't need
Gary
much.
Milne. He's an asshole. He gets no consideration. Dox the hell out of him. But anybody else,
And all right, we are moving along. And yet it's a very weird thing. I don't believe in doxing or canceling, and yet I kind of live my life open because that's the only way I feel like to counter those. It's a weird thing. I feel like the more you try and hide it, the more they come after you.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It kind of takes away their power. It's like, oh, well, I'm going to dox you. Okay, so what?
Because they say stuff about me, and all I can say is, yep, sounds like me. I don't know what you want me to do about it, so I kind of like it. But
you're a cocksucker, Amy.
Oh, I'm good at it too. That's what
I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody really wants to come to Oklahoma to tell me in person how much they hate my atheism. Okay, well, have a conversation in person. I don't care.
Exactly. Get a beer. Get a hot dog. Maybe
bring some
not
beer,
too
yeah.
personal of a hot dog, but a general one with mustard.
I mean,
It'll be a
unless
good time.
hey, if they're of age and
I mean,
And
listen, some
well,
people are into like just putting some ketchup and mustard and relish on it and going to town. So
Thank
you know
you.
what? Like,
We're not kink
Amaretto,
shaming
thank you.
anybody. Okay, moving down the line, Peepers. Hope you had a good time. We have been talking about could we make it work? Did they make it work? And all those sort of questions. What are your thoughts? Where can people find you? And what are your final thoughts tonight?
Well, yeah, I'm YouTube. I'm P Mars. I got a channel, and I appreciate you having me on. I had fun talking to you, and well, I suppose I'm a creationist, but I don't think that we should, as Christians, take, I suppose, the early Genesis stories literally, and I think that the Bible isn't meant to answer questions like, is the earth flat, or how old the earth is. Those are like more scientific questions. And so like the Christians that sort of push these like young earth creationism or flat earth from biblical sense, I think I kind of agree with the sentiment that they're like grifters, or I agree with what people are saying about Kent Hovind. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think the Bible's supposed to be about science. So that's kind of how I feel. And yeah, it was fun. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so very much, P.
Thank you
Mars.
for behaving, P. Mars. You behaved yourself. For the
And
most
I don't
part.
know
Thank
any
you.
better. So see, that was a good first impression. And okay, Randolph, welcome back. We have been having fun. We have been trying to figure out, and oh my gosh, I know a hot dog would sound so good right now. We have been trying to figure out, can we make the Ark work? Was the Ark working? A whole floatable device. Where can people find you, and what are your final thoughts?
Well, first of all, I wonder, what does a hot dog normally sound like? So, yeah, nervous laughter is probably best response to that. There we go. Now I got somebody laugh. The Ark, I still think, even though P. Mars was saying that the Bible is not the book to answer or provide an explanation for that, I do think it's curious that the Bible presents the claim that the Ark was something that was built and floated and did various things, carrying animals across the ocean while the whole world was flooded and all that kind of stuff. I guess the authors of the Bible would carry that burden of proof for that, and so the Bible doesn't seem to have any citations for this, and I think that it kind of misses the boat, so to speak, on this.
Citation is God. That's the only one they need.
Yeah.
God.
Were you there, Were you there, Randolph? Were you there?
I was not there.
Well, God was there. So, what makes you think you know what happened? But you weren't there. He was.
You're great. You and I can have a conversation about your God after this, if you like. But right now, this is my outro. So.
I was pulling the Ken Ham on you.
Randolph's goddess is in the other room, I'm sure.
Yeah, my goddess is upstairs right now. That would be my wife. I tell her she is my goddess, and I believe in her. But she is real. Anyway.
Always a plus.
Yeah, so I'm not convinced that the Ark was a real thing that actually worked and functioned as the story tells in the Bible. And there are a number of reasons for that I outlined in my introduction when I came in here. And I haven't changed my mind on those points. So, such as the fact that it would need to carry 35,000 species of animal. And right off the bat, we need to consider at least there'd be 70,000 there, because there needs to be at least 2 of each species. So
7 of the clean animals. 7 pairs of the clean animals.
Yeah,
Even worse.
yeah, and then all the food that they'd need, and many different factors that hadn't been considered, such as all the plant life that would need to be carried to replant and get things going again on the earth after the flood subsided. And it goes on and on. There's so many questions, so many cans of worms, and I wondered if they carried worms in cans on that Bible, but in that Ark. But anyway. Now I feel like I just rambled. If people want to reach me, you can find me on Twitter. My handle there is Randolph828, RANDOLF828. If you want to find me on YouTube, you can see some videos of debates I've been in at youtube.com/Randolph Richardson. That's RANDOLF is spelled, followed by Richardson. Or if you want to find out more about the Canadian Atheists, an organization I run where we are advocating for the end of vilification of atheism and the end of the stigmatization, which is not a huge problem here in Canada, but it does persist a little bit, so we are pushing back against that. You can find out more about Canadian Atheists at www.canadianatheists.ca. Thank you, Amy, for putting that up on the screen. And you can also find out a little bit about our Normalize Atheism campaign at www.normalizeatheism.ca. Finally, there's an upcoming atheism call-in program that Neil, the 604 Atheist, and myself will be co-hosting. It is a sub-project of the Canadian Atheists. It is called True North Talk, and it has a website where you can read more at www.truenorthtalk.ca. Thank you to everybody in the audience for tuning in today, and thank you to Amy for hosting this, and thank you to everybody here. I really liked it that there's some theists involved in the conversation today who we hadn't seen before, and hope that you'll be back again in the future for some more wonderful conversations.
Thank you, Randolph. Good to have you on.
Thank you so very much, Randolph, as always. And okay, only a few more. I think
That's
Atheist Junior wanted me to show something. So actually, as I have him on here, I'm going to finagle things.
Kaboom.
I'm going to keep on doing
Fire that
jazz
gun,
hands.
Yeah,
exactly.
One in each
Keep on
hand.
firing the gun.
One in each hand.
Yeah, you can just.
It'll be double cross.
It's
That'll
like
be
30
double cross.
seconds, and then you can just you could stop it once it gets to the credits part.
All right.
Just make sure it's from the very beginning.
Did you get any blood on you? What? What's that question?
Yeah.
Now make sure you can hear it, but
no sound.
No sound. Oh. You have to do. It's like a USB. You have to do it at least once.
Junior, you could just force it over while she plays it.
Well, that's
that's true.
funny. It doesn't. It doesn't even let me give me the option on Windows. So I'm just gonna do entire screen and do share audio. Go and make things difficult.
Make sure you minimize those special windows.
Yes, baby. Give me 1 second. Here we go.
Did you get any blood on you? I'd like to cover myself in ranch dressing this summer. Oh. Well, that's the sound I would make anyway.
Oh, it's out of sync.
Right, my ass. From before, when I was on the trampoline. The last three-way I saw was with some beavers and some cocaine parties. Really. Matchstick jukebox, and it goes over the Ohio River, and I said, I don't know. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I like this animation. It looks like Kent Hovind has upped his game in fancy T-shirts. I'm going to have to get some better shirts.
Oh boy, he sure has.
And
Hawaiian shirt depot.
And okay, Atheist Junior. I guess was that your intro? Do you have any final things? I kind of want to actually say while you're here, where can people find you, and what are your final thoughts?
Okay, well, my channel is here on YouTube. If you just search for Atheist Junior, and it'll pop up. I'm also on Twitter, and I also have a Patreon. And I've had some new people sign up recently, which is very exciting. And people that have signed up have been really supportive. The channel has been growing. So thank you for that. And that's pretty much it. But thanks for having me on, Amy. I like this thing where I come on first and then go last. It makes me feel like I'm the third host.
Yeah. Yeah.
Woo-hoo. It's
Good to
awesome
have you on,
to
AJ.
have you on, Atheist Junior. And I feel like I have to get a better link. But thank you so very much.
Anytime you have a Hovind on, it's like Atheist. He's like the in-house Hovind expert. So.
The Hovind Whisperer.
That's true. It's been a while since I've been on and done the full show, so I think coming on for a debate after show is always good.
Woo-hoo. Thank you so very much, Atheist Junior. And all right, that's everyone, which means I am handing the keys over to James.
I don't know if that's a good idea, but I'm going to try. But I just want to thank everybody for coming on. This was a good debate. Any Ken Hovind debate is a good debate because you're going to get lots of interesting, thought-provoking ideas, and you're going to have some fun too. So we definitely did that. Nice. We had a couple Christians come on, which, we could get more of that. That would be good. We don't necessarily always want an atheist sausage fest, but thanks everybody for coming on. And
Thanks, James.
Thank you, Randolph.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
All right, and I saw that so much. I want to push for it in this stream, baby. We got 2 away. We could crash the party in this stream and get 100. But we are sending love. I saw
Thank you, Nate.
And Pasta. I saw Will and Ian and Norfolk.
Tangans.
Yes, all our lovely Tangs and Grumpy and Wild Eden and Aunt Jur and everybody and Best in Show and Okay.
Yeah.
And Oz and okay. With that. Let's see if I can multitask. I hope you all had a fun night on this episode of Midnight Ranting. Woohoo! Could the Ark have worked? Where we put the boatist with the mostest in the hot seat and asked ourselves if the Ark from the Genesis story in the Bible was a workable flotation device. Ha ha ha. Oh, there we go. I want to thank my co-host James W. with our guests Speed of Sound, Atheist Junior, P. Mars, Leophilius, Shane, Marshall, Danny, Randolph, Oz, Jamie, Amaretto, and Blaster Master. Woo! Along with our viewers, the people. Whoa! That I heard destruction. I apologize to anyone's ears.
What happened, Davey?
Whoa!
What was that?
Okie dokie. Along with our viewers, the people in chat and our mods who make this stream so great.
Thank you.
Oh my God, it's Skynet. They're taking over. Oh. Grab anything.
Whatever you're hearing, Amy,
my God,
I'm not hearing it.
What is going on?
I'm not hearing it if you're hearing something.
Everyone's muted and cinema. Okay, well,
Ooh, chainsaw.
Told you this book was true.
Oh my god.
Marshall has a
on my
chainsaw.
end?
This is gonna... I see Marshall has a chainsaw. This is going to be a massacre.
If you
Got his safety equipment on. This is good.
If you want to support the show, feel free to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Amy Newman. I hope you all have a lovely night. Good night, everyone. And I apologize to your ears, and I love you.